Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the penultimate round of Wednesday nights at the GSRC in 2023 Season A. Tonight, we're coming to you from California, Long Beach Street Circuit. It's a classic track on the IndyCar calendar. Lots of blind corners leading to a lot of danger with a grid of this size. 35 cars in the grid, and they are already lining up, ready to go racing. We've got Brendan Whitaker on pole, Connell in second, Whitaker and Gosner make up the second row, with Atkinson and Stuart Ellis just behind them. Brett McMullen and John Merritt make up the fourth row, with Sam Chapman and Anthony Adshead rounding out the top 10. Behind them, we've got Matthew Brunt and Jared Gilbert on roll 6. Then we've got Paul Nichols and Mark Gomez, followed by Smitke and Woodward. Then we have Wong, Riddle, Zuno and Sagasa rounding out the top 20. Behind them, we then have Russell Boucher and Matt Bailey. Jason Close, Kurt Chapman, Dom Grundy, Brendan Van Ryn, Brian Bullock, Greg Paget, Pete Matson, and last but not least, Brett Bradbury. No, not last. There's more than 30 tonight. Robert McGrath, Shane Ewens, Phil King, Michael Ladder, Ashley Kersey, and then Damon Mulcreen will be running the safety car for us here tonight, which we thank them for. And we have Endo in live race control for the night. They're away, and we've got already one of the Whitakers, Chris Whitaker, looking to make a move on the outside, and it's going to come on the wrong side going into turn one, but it won't matter if we can get past him on the long run down. He's in the slipstream of his brother. They're racing matching liveries, but with different colours, so you can tell who's who. Behind them, you've got side by side Heartland Merritt and Brett McMullen going to first corner. First corner looks like we're going to have 3 wide. At the back there, they're all the front of the track, and they've made it through cleanly. However, there's been contact there between the two Porsche Racing boys. I believe one of those is Glenn Riddell, perhaps. And then more contact into the hairpin. It's a pile up. Everyone's gonna have to wait for the track to be cleared. We've got at least 10 cars involved. Some of them starting to get away now. Absolute chaos, and they had a warning from our producer and the person that runs the series, Adam Lavis, so he won't be impressed, I dare say.
Well, I don't run this one. This is Lid's. Lid's got control of this one.
All right,
Josh Miller.
Josh. But yeah, can't park there, mate. I also agree. I was expecting turn 1. I saw a few cars going through wide and thought, it's going to be chaos, and they just got away with the first contact with the Pulse Racing. Managed to get away before too much chaos, but I think just the Constantina effect that caused then meant chaos into the second corner was inevitable, with the pack all so close. All the cars now running.
So the manual safety car is on. They've called for a manual safety car, but I can't get it to work on my screen back.
Yeah, so we do have a safety car. We don't have any graphics to show the safety car. They're not working currently, which is why I paused, because it looked like they were behind safety car, and then I was looking for some sort of confirmation, but thankfully Adam just chimed in to say, confirm that yes, there is a safety car, which is why they were all running in a single file. Yes, not the start we were hoping for. Of course, the front 4 who managed to build a gap across that first lap, that's all going to be reduced once they get behind the safety car and it holds them all up. There we go, there is our safety car for tonight, driven by Damon Mulqueen, who is an incredibly fast TCR racing driver. So if he, I hope he's going to go slow, otherwise there'll definitely be some members that will not be able to keep up with him, even if he's not super familiar with the 86. Good time to go through some of the big winners out of that collision. The biggest winner, as far as I can see, is Brendan Van Ryn. He's gone from 26th to 14th. He's in touching distance of a top 10 finish, which will put him on pole for the reverse grid race. Other big movers are Phil King and Ashley Kersey. They're up 13 and 14 places respectively. And then Joshua Maynard, who's up 13 places from 37th to 24th. So he was last, he's now in 24th place. Of course, a lot of that is down to luck, but also down to skill. If you slow down enough, make sure you make it through. There are spots to be gained. It's much better than just trying to carry a bit too much speed, not letting yourself time to slow down. If you do cross another car, just crash into them and get caught up with weight, whilst everybody else that did slow down enough to perhaps stick to the inside of the corner makes it past. But there is a good degree of luck there. If you're one of the latecomers on the scene, there will just not be space no matter what you do. And I dare say a few got caught up in that. It's going to take a while for the safety car to get round. It's quite a long lap here, 1 minute 35 in these cars, just about. Some of the faster drivers down to 1 minute 31. Some of the slower drivers a little bit above the 135s. So I expect once we get going again, we'll have a few laps of racing, maybe 6 laps. But we'll have to wait and see. One of the big surprises for tonight is we've got no Connor Nixon with us. He's been one of the consistent top 5 drivers. We've seen him mixing it up with the Whitakers and Jeff Connell race after race. He's not here with us tonight. Also, interesting to see Jason Close. So he qualified down to 23rd, but he's actually one of the top 5 in the championship currently. So he's out of position to look. So look for Jason Close to really put the moves on after the restart and try to turn 14th into 10th. So we can start mixing it with the likes of the Whitakers, Connell and Gosner again. So we're just going to look, and we're just going to focus on this second corner and see what happened here. So there's already a little bit of contact. Oh, contact towards the front of the grid there. So he gets turned around, and then cars are making contact, all trying to avoid them, all sort of panicking, losing a bit of awareness of what's around them, because you're just not expecting somebody to try and pull it in tight or go wide. And that's cause extra chaos, which eventually hits the track. But it is a blue car fairly far off the order. So this looks like Matthew Brunt. We're just watching his car. I think you need a consent to get that close to another car. I don't think any was gained there.
Apologies, the SDK graphics are being very slow tonight, so it's a bit laggy.
Yes, so apologies for some of the laggy graphics we've got here tonight. SDK is just, yeah, it's just not behaving tonight. So if you see me pausing, it's probably me just waiting for the graphics to confirm what I think is happening. Either that, or I've just finally ran out of words, although that is a rare occurrence. So just going back to live pictures here, 5 minutes to race are gone, so we're down to 11 minutes. I believe the safety car has peeled away and we will be about to go racing. So just now, they're just waiting. So the safety car is quite a bit ahead from what I can see on the timing screen. Safety car is about to get onto the back straight, which is called Seaside Way, whilst the cars... the train of cars is just a couple of corners behind, which makes me think he may look to go early here. Certainly he's got the gap to go early if he wants to, but for now, Brennan Whitaker will lead the field. They will go at his pace. Chris Whitaker will stay within about 10 car lengths of him, which allows for a bit of a gap, but generally you'll stay as close as you can. Right, they're around the hairpin on the final corner. Not going yet. When will he put the hammer down? We have to wait and see.
It's off.
Looks like he's done. He's gone. He's off. They're going down Bridgestone. So they go through this long, curving right-hander. They'll then set up for the 90-degree left-hander, the first corner, Toyota. Let's see. Will Chris make a move on his brother? Looks like behind them, Jeff Connell's going to launch a move on the inside of Rhys Gosner. No, pulls out of it just at the last moment. Rhys Gosner holding onto the position. Will they behave through the hairpin? Looks like they are. It is hard to tell when they put the hammer down because they don't go that much faster. Not the fastest of cars, the Toyota GR86s, but that's why we love them. Not fast. They're not fast, but they allow for very, very close pack racing like we've already seen here tonight. Yes, that is part of what caused that pile-up at the hairpin. But when you don't have pile-ups, you have wonderful racing like we're about to see between Brendan, Chris, Rhys and Jeff at the front of the field. Over back. 2 cars going side by side into the corner. Who's going to come out ahead? Looks like it's going to be the Panasonic entry. Just on the inside there, Jason Close. I said to watch out for him. He wasn't 14th. He's one of the fastest guys in this series. Look for him. 3 more spots and he gets into pole position for race 2. And he's got just over half the race to do it. That's how his story will bring you throughout this first sprint race here, which will be followed by a longer feature race, which will be about 25 minutes in length. One of the interesting things to look out for is how much the cars ride the curbs. Some of the curbs, they're really tall, they're quite flat. You can take a lot of it and not get hurt. You'll see that as being a differentiator between some of the fast drivers and some of the slower drivers. The fast drivers will know which curves to hit, how to hit them to make sure they do not upset the car, and it actually can at times just help you get a bit of extra rotation into the car by lifting those inside wheels just a little bit. The slower drivers, they will not know what to do. You'll see them avoid the curbs or hit the curbs and crash. Looks like it's looked like Chris was about to set up for a move there on Brendan, but starting better off. It looked like he was going to shape to go around the outside there of that hairpin. Beautiful hairpin around the roundabout with the dolphins in the centre. but decided better off it because everybody's in chaos there. And already there's a bit of a gap forming here. You've got the front four there in the battle pack. They're just looking to try and detach Jack Atkinson and Brett McMullen, who are in 5th and 6th, trying to hang on at about that second gap. If it gets too far over a second, they'll start to lose the slipstream. It'll be very hard to catch these guys in front, so they will not want that to break. You then got another gap from John Merritt to Sam Chapman, 7th to 8th. Chapman a whole second behind Merritt now. He's starting to get the touch. He will close that up. And then, touching the wall there. Not something you want to do, but I think he'll get away with that. Another thing you'll notice is that the fast drivers, they'll always get close to the wall, because even when they are lowering their risk profile, trying to take it a little bit easy, they've just got naturally so much control of the car that they can put it near the wall and feel safe. And who's that off? That is Matt Smitke. Matt Smitke has taken too much speed into that corner. It looks like he's just plowed into the wall. Hopefully he can, yes, well done. He's got out without reversing too much, and it's going to be a pretty safe rejoin. Another thing to look out for in this race, you see the red lines on either side of the track. That is where track limits are defined for this race, not the white line. And in particular, at this corner, they cannot cross too far over that red line, otherwise they will get exit. So you can't do what you naturally want to do and just move over to the wall. If anyone turns off and starts to drift over to the wall, they will get a penalty. Now bringing you a replay of that collision with Matt Smitke. Let's have a look at what happened here. So he's on the outs. No, he's just touched the curb. It's unsettled the car. Got a bit of a swapper on and just not able to control it before hitting the wall. Very easily done. He will not be the only person to do that here tonight. Spoke a little bit earlier about how the top four were looking to break away. Jack Atkinson, determined not to let that happen, he's in the fastest lap, so 33.16, and he's actually dropped Brett McMullen a little bit. So there he is, flicking in and out of your picture. He's the red car at the back of this leading train of 5. And he's got some nasty issues there. I imagine there'll be some drivers, if he gets into wheel battle, calling race control, saying that that is flickering too much for them to race effectively. Hopefully it stabilises and gets away with it. See, look at those two cars. Look how much they were over that curve, really winning. Oh, that was ambitious, trying to put up the inside. Not enough space there. Thankfully, I don't know if there was contact. It looked like there might have been a little bit of contact, but neither car being upset. And Josh Juno just decides to come in behind Brendan Van Ryn instead of trying to go for a dangerous run there. And I think just about got away, but alone was a late decision to pull out.
Right, so the SDK servers are having a bit of an issue, so I've switched to local mode. So we've got the graphics working to speed. Downside is having to switch back to the old plain text numbers, so that's why the numbers look a little bit different. But other than that, we've got graphics looking alright.
Excellent. Great work by our tech guru, our producer Adam Lavis, to get the graphics working again. Thanks for all your hard work, Adam. I've seen how active you are on the Discord and how much effort goes into producing a whole lot of broadcasts for the GSRC, not just the Wednesday night broadcast. We're now back to the race down to 2 laps remaining. There's about 3 minutes and 40 seconds of this race to go. It's not long, it's 2 full laps. So I believe once they cross the line, they will have 2 laps to go. Still, Brandon leads Chris. Brandon doing the fastest lap of the race, the last lap, 1:32.36. So that fastest lap that I reeled off from Jack Atkinson a couple of laps ago, that's been absolutely smashed by over a second now. We're just seeing Shane Newans carrying damage, unable to control the car, and the car spinning around, valiantly trying to get into the lane, but not able to do it. And well, there you go. There's another crash there. We just jumped to Brendan Sagasar, and we just saw a car behind him hitting the wall, and now Sagasa, who was phenomenal last week, got his first win. Not so phenomenal at Long Beach, just coming unstuck at the hairpin. And here we got Pete Matson just hitting the curb, not able to control it.
And he already had damage. He had front suspension damage in that first incident we saw.
Yeah, already had front suspension damage, so probably when he hit the curb, just not getting the shock absorption he would have expected, and it just unsettling the car too much and him spinning. Well, thankfully not hitting the wall, so he won't have added to his damage. You'll see a lot of the drivers, when they are damaged, they try to get back into the lane, and that is real life. Of course, this is a sim, so why can't they just what they can do is use it for a time. But the way our racing works is it actually mimics as if you had actually had to get a turn, the marshals had to come onto the track and had to get you, so you get a quite substantial time penalty if you tow, which is why all the drivers that have got damage, if they can, they will try and make it back to the pits, because that will save them over a minute in time, usually, if you can get back to the pits with any sort of racing speed. Good panel packs all up and down the field. Of course, we focus at the front, but here we've got one for 14th place. So we've got Brendan Van Ryn trying to defend 13th place from Joshua Zuno. The training places down the straight, so getting the inside.
Training a bit of paint as well.
Training a bit of paint as well. The black and the white will absolutely notice if either paint rubs off on the other, and getting the move done there, as you know. But that's only one part of the equation. Can he now pull away? Because they've got this long straight heading through Bridgestone that will just close that gap and make it almost impossible to get away unless you are substantially faster than the car behind. Here we go, we're just watching the leaders cross the start-finish straight. And I believe 2 laps to go, because I did not see a flag waving there from our friend Barney. So now they're coming into the first corner, coming down to Turner, so we're on board with Jeff Connell. He's in 4th place currently. Oh, Josh Zuno, apologies. I thought it was Jeff Connell. Yes, Joshua Zuno, so he's in 13th place. He is still defending that position from Brendan Van Ryn. We saw him get the move done a little bit earlier on in the stream, just at the end of the final lap, of the last lap. And now Brendan Van Ryn just looking to come back in it, but look how that gap, it's pulling out in the corners, and then just through the straight you're going to see the gaps close up a little bit, and he's actually got the gap out now to about 3/4 of a second. He's going to need a bit more than that to completely break the slipstream, but that's enough of a gap that, as you can see, he's not under any pressure going into the corners, and that's part of the battle, because once you're not under pressure, you're not slowing yourself down trying to defend. You can just focus on your speed. As watching Anthony Abshead, he's going to try and go all the way around the outside to keep his spot from Jason Close. It's not going to work. Jason Close just carrying too much momentum, and he has said just scrubbing off too much speed trying to go around the outside, where there will be less grips. There might not have been enough speed there to make it possible. But yes, he's dropped out of the top 10 into 11, which means that Jason Close, the man we said to look out for, the man who's had pace all season long, he is back into 10th place, and that means he will have pole position for the feature race if he can defend from Anthony Adshead and not let him back through. We're now back to the battle at the front, where it's been a case of follow the leader. Brendan Whitaker ahead of Chris Whitaker, ahead of Reese, and then ahead of Jeff. Brendan on pole, leading from the start, and still in the position for Reese Gosner going into the first corner, and he's never looked back. Reese Gosner getting ahead of Jeff Connell. So apologies, Chris getting ahead of Jeff Connell and Reese getting ahead of Jeff Connell at the first corner, and then that has been your order throughout the entirety of the race. We're looking back at Sam Chapman. He's up 2 spots, qualified 9th. He's in 7th, having a good battle here with John Merritt. John Merritt, one of the fastest guys at the club. So this will be a big scalp if he can hold him behind, but look how close Merritt is. He is absolutely pushing Sam Chapman along. As we cut back to our leaders as they go through the Indy left, a double left-hander, which leads into a really, really tight hairpin. This right-hander, you've got to be on the brakes as soon as you've straightened up out the hairpin, otherwise you're not going to get around this corner. That's even tighter than it looks there. And they're about to cross the line, as you were. Brendan Whitaker is going to lead his brother Chris. Reese will be in 3rd, and then Jeff will take 4th, and Jack Atkinson putting in a stellar performance to keep up with them and finishing 5th. They've detached Brett McMullen, who's going to finish 6th. He'll be really happy with that. And then got Sam Chapman manages to hold off John Merritt in 8th, and then Matthew Brunt in 9th, and Jason Close rounds out the top 10 and takes pole position for our feature race. Paul Nichols, he comes home tough. He's really happy with that, as you can see by the weaving and the flashing of the lights. A universal sign that you are a very, very happy driver, or a very, very annoyed driver if you're flashing them at someone in front of you. Smitsky finishes in 16th place, Brendan Van Ryn in 17th, and then Dom Grundy takes home 18th. Glenn Riddell is going to come home 19th. Joshua Maynard rounds out the top 20. Brendan Whitaker stopping on track. You'll see that car disappear in a second as he gets a tow back to pit lane. So there you go. It settled down quite a bit after the first couple of corners, but boy, did we have some chaos in the first couple of corners.
There's a couple of guys lost at the rear in turn 1, which then bunched everyone up. And as I warned them all, I said, mate, try not to go 3 wide into the fountain. It's barely 2 wide. They tried to go 4 wide, so it was always going to end in chaos.
Yeah, 4 wide into the fountain is about 2 cars too many. I think 4 wide anywhere is about 2 cars too many. At most, you can get 3 around the corner. Pardon?
Unless you're in the Vs.
Unless you're in the Vs, because they are about as wide as a pencil. I think some of the broader drivers will probably struggle to get into a V. They're just about that narrow. Which is great for racing. Probably not so great for safety, but they're not very quick, those cars. A little bit slower than the GR86, do you reckon?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. GR86, a bit more straight line speed, and let's face it, a lot more protection for the driver. Sam Chapman, one of those rare drivers that actually does a full lap to cool down.
Interestingly, SDK is not giving me the option to put the results on the screen. That's fun.
We love to bring the results. That's normally what we do here, but we are unable to
there
tonight. There we go. We've got it working. Let's have a look.
Someone mustn't have finished the last lap.
Brendan Whitaker, he's in first place. Chris Whitaker in second. Then Gosner and Connell in third and fourth. Atkinson, strong performance, finished in the top 5. Behind them, we've got McMullen, Chapman, Merritt, Brunt, and Close, rounding out the top 10. And reverse those, and that'll be the start of your grid for the next race. In 11th, just missing out on pole position, is Anthony Adshead. Behind him is Nichols, then Wong, Woodward, Belcher, Smitke, Van Ryn, Grundy, Riddle, and Maynard.
Alright, so we didn't get a chance to start. Let's have a look at some of the points coming into tonight's race.
So, points coming into tonight. No surprises, Jeff Connell is the leader, 346 points, fairly comfortable lead. But it's not a done deal yet. Chris Whitaker is in second place, and he is trying to fight off Brendan to keep hold of second and them. And then got Jason Close in fourth place on 256. Reese Gosner right behind him on 254, and I believe Reese will now have overtaken him thanks to results of that first race, because Jason did not finish in the top anywhere near the front, and Reese Gosner did. And then got Matthew Brunt in 7th, Sam Chapman 8th in standings, Brett McMullen 9th, Dale Shop 10th, and then Michael Hammond, Brian Bullock, Kurt Chapman, Russell Belcher, and Paul Nichols. And it's pretty tight once you get out of the top 8. But Sam Chapman, having a very good series, managed to pull 45 points to 9th place, so he's looking pretty solid in that top 10, and he got another top 10 result in the sprint race, which he'll hope to turn into an even better result in the future. And of course, this stream, as our other streams, are brought to you by a host of sponsors, a whole roster of sponsors that we've got here at the GSRC. Waste Options, Blackout Electrical Solutions, who are sponsoring the Porsche Cup race later on tonight, Login Systems, West Orange Motors, Astute Finance, Insurance and Wealth, Fisher Door Lawyers, and Flash Graphics. If you would like to become a sponsor of the GSRC, perhaps for next season, which will be starting in a few weeks' time, just get in touch with any of the members on the committee via the Discord. But for now, let's focus on the grid here for race 2 tonight. Jason Close starts on pole with Matthew Brunt alongside him. Then Merritt and Sam Chapman make up the second row with Brett McMullen and Jack Atkinson behind them. Then we got the big 4, Connell, Gosner, Brendan Whitaker and Chris Whitaker. They're 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th. All the cars are gridded up, all the cars are on your screen, all 35 of them just about. And so the race will get underway in but a moment's time. There's a wonderful tension on the grid in these moments. You're just waiting for the lights to come on, all the engines start to rev, and you wait for what feels like forever for the lights to count up and then go off, and you know it is hammer time. Listen to the engines. And they're off. Jason Close looks like he's got a half decent start, but Matthew Brunt got a better start. He's going to do what we saw Whitaker do last race, go around the outside and take the lead before the first corner. Sam Chapman coming up at a million miles an hour. Looks like he might fight for second. You then got Brett McMullen and John Merritt right behind them. They want to get in the action, but there's just not enough space. What's going to happen as they go into the first corner? Will they all make it through? They're going 2x2 through the first corner. Chapman and Close, side by side, almost touching doors, but getting through there cleanly. And then they go into a single file for the roundabout, which is a clever idea. No, there's a couple of people going too wide. Russell Belcher's round. Matt Bailey's also tumbling down the order. And we've got a bit of a pile up there. Not as bad as the first race. I think they're all going to get away and we won't need to have a safety car. However, as we've seen, 2x2, it does not work on the first lap. You've got to get into a single file by the time you get into there. Otherwise, you're putting not only your race in jeopardy, but everyone behind you, because there is not enough space for cars to get through once it is a collision. We've seen Brendan Van Ryn on the inside here. On the outside, we've got Matt Smitke trying to get through, and there's contact. And they both managed to keep going. Don't know how that's happened. Very, very lucky to keep going there. And I don't think maybe Matt Smitke's going to just go slow down the inside. But he may just be trying to be a bit as he rejoins. More cars going side by side here. Behind Brendan Van Ryn, looks like one of his teammates a little bit further back. Then we've got Brian Bullock. He's on the outside. Is he going to try and go around the outside of the white and pink car ahead? No, he's just going to settle in behind them. Matt Smitke all over the curves on the inside there. Just trying to filter back in, get into line, because when you're out of line, it puts you off line for every single corner. It's hard to get around, and there you go. Car tries to, Zuno tries to go up the inside of Matt Smitke. Not sure if that was deliberate or not. Matt Smitke's been all out of shape for a few corners now, and just contact there going to the corner, and then Matt Bailey also going around. Looks like he's had contact with another car. Here now we jump to Kurt Woodward. He's in the Porsche racing car. That's the red and yellow car on your screen. He is just behind the black and green car of Reece Gosling. So Reece Gosling is in 13th. He started in 8th, so he's not had a great start, and he will be faster. We would imagine as some of these cars around him, so he's going to look to move up the field. First, he's going to have to get past Paul Nichols. He'll be getting nosebleeds so far up the order. Apparently there's a car that's reversed into the pits. I didn't catch that, but I'm sure we'll bring you that replay if we can find it. So to catch up at the front, Matthew Brunt, he's in the lead, and he's already put out 1.3 seconds. He's going to be getting out of that slipstream now, which is going to make it very hard for Sam Chapman to get close. And he is pulling along 4 of the cars over. He's got Jason Close right behind him, then Merritt, then McMullen, then Atkinson. And we saw Atkinson in particular, he had fantastic pace in the first race.
Yeah, Chapman's done a massive job. That's why the cameras went weird there, because we were focusing on Chapman. He disappeared for like 3 corners. So the guys are asleep now. So it's a bit scary being behind around here. You know where to go.
Yeah, it's very scary. So when the cars, you'll see sometimes the cars disappearing off screen, and that is what Adam is referring to there. That happens because your ping is too high, your internet connection's a bit choppy, something's not right with your connection. And that is what we see, is what the other drivers see. So you're racing a car and then all of a sudden they disappear and you don't know where they are. So yeah, just a Constantine there. Oh, you know what? That's really unlucky. Because they just Constantined, and then you saw, it looked like Jeff Connell, he tried to just get to the sides and wouldn't bounce back, and instead he's hit what was Reece Gosling there. Reece Gosling's gone around, and then other cars there are trying to go too wide, which is very difficult to do at the corner. The best times in that line, we've got cars in front of you that are braking earlier than you'd expect because of the domino effect. You've got cars behind you that don't brake early enough, and they can hit you in the backside. It's just a whole big mess, and that's what we've seen there. But thankfully, not as big a mess as in race 1, and we've got another 21 minutes of racing to sort everything out if you did get caught up in that and you're a bit out of order. We're seeing a big move down the inside there on Brett McMullen. So that's Jeff Connell. He is one of the fastest guys in the series. He is at the head of the championship, and he has another podium to his name. The two Whitakers, they've not made much progress. They're in 8th and 9th. Connell is battling for 7th and 6th place. He's just about to make 6th if he's got the move done. He's got the move done as they go to the double left-hander and then the tight right-hander. I don't think you're going to see one. Oh, big move there. Oh, naughty there, really, from Whitaker. Big block pass on Brett McMullen. Gets the move done just about, and I think he's going to let McMullen through there because that was a little bit too much. So don't be surprised if he rolls out the throttle and doesn't battle into the first corner, or maybe he will battle it. We'll have a wait and see. So move further up here. This is Merritt and Atkinson. Atkinson looking to put a move on Merritt, but not having the pace. And now we're seeing the other Whittaker get past Brett McMullen. So that is both Brendan and Chris then past, and they are chasing Jeff Connell, who they know is a man they have to beat if either of them wants to have a chance of winning the championship across the next round. And you know what? They can't wait. They've got to beat him this round. That points gap is too big to leave it to the last round. They're relying on the racing gods to give them some luck if they want to get the championship. We're now on board with Jeff Close. He's still looking at the back of Sam Chapman's Jason Close. He's in third place, last podium spot, looking to turn it into second. But we've seen a few rounds this season, Sam Chapman is not an easy guy to get past. He's very good at placing his car defensively, but has he knocked it there? He didn't get a very good exit, not much speed, and we're seeing a massive overspeed from Jason Close onto the long straight, onto Seaside Ray, and I think he's going to get it done by the end of the straight. I do like a good pun. You're now one of my favourite viewers. Thanks for that. Yes, Close by name and Close by nature. Can Sam Chapman get close enough to get him back though? We'll have to wait and see. He's going to get a lovely time going down the long front straight, which is called Shoreline Drive, as they approach Bridgestone Corner, which is this little right kick all the way down the straight. I say right kick. It's basically not far off 90 degrees, but it's just so wide and such a long corner that you are just easily flat in just about any car. He is in 5th place. Jack Atkinson's got past Merritt. Didn't see when that occurred. He's got past and is now in 4th place, and he'll be looking to turn that into 3rd. And to do that, he's going to have to get past Sam Chapman, which can be done. We've seen Jason Close do it. Jason Close already eating into that lead of Matthew Brunt. Matthew Brunt only 0.36 of a second ahead of Jason Close. Now Jason Close, he smells victory here. He is looking at those headlights, those lights dangling above him, the street lights, and they represent the dangling carrot that is the victory here tonight. Oh,
you've got
and they've loaded him into the wall. Big shunt into the wall from Jason Close there, and he's tumbling down. He's already back behind Chapman and Atkinson. He's settled into 4th place. How much damage has he got? That was a really nasty whack. Just as I was talking about the temptation of a win being there, we saw him shaping up potentially for a move on Brunt and just carrying too much speed and hitting the wall there. What it hasn't done though is it hasn't given Brunt much breathing room, because he is now only 0.6 of a second ahead of Chapman. I think we're seeing Brunt just struggling with the speed of the race a little bit, not going as fast as the cars behind him would like him to, and not able to break away. So let's get on board and see what happened with Close. So he's looking to shape up on the inside. No, he cuts back in, gets on the brakes. Oh, it unsettled him completely. Did he touch the wall?
He got the inside wall, yeah.
Touched the inside wall, that pushed the car to the left, and that sent him into the wall. Not as hard as it looked from off board though. Didn't look nearly as harsh on board, so I think he'll get away without too much damage. And yes, he is settled into 4th place, not tumbled down anymore. And he doesn't seem to be struggling to keep up with Jack Atkinson ahead of him. The win's still there, mate. Just make some of those mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, but we've got about 16 minutes to right that one. So let's see what Jason Close can do. We know he's one of the fastest guys in this series. We're now going to see Sagasa, our absolute star from last race, making moves all the time and getting a win in the feature race, just clipping the inside of the wall there, similar to what Lando Norris did in the last F1 race, except Lando Norris broke his front tyre, and he has hit it with the rear and just sent himself spinning. Brian Bullock spinning by himself there. It's deceptively tricky, these 90-degree corners, because every corner, the width of the track as you enter the corner is different to the width of the track on the exit. There's so many of these corners. Big nasty shunt there for Wong, just getting a bit of oversteer, perhaps too much brake going into the corner as he started turning, or perhaps just too much speed, losing the rear end and just rear end walking him into the barrier. Go back to the point I was making. The width is constantly changing, so although there are a lot of 90-degree corners or near 90-degree corners, everyone feels quite different, because some you've got a wide entry and a narrow exit, and then for some you've got a really narrow entry and a wide exit, and then others the width doesn't change that much, and you can't see the exit because there's a wall on your inside. So unless you've got it memorised and you know exactly how wide that track is on your exit, it can be really hard to carry the correct amount of speed through the corner. Because obviously, if you've got a wider exit, you can carry more speed through the corner. You don't need to turn quite sharply, and you are just bleeding time if you are not carrying as much speed as you can. Look at all those cars. Look how close they got to the wall. Because you have to. Because you need to carry as much speed onto the straight as you can. Otherwise, you are absolutely nowhere. And that's where the danger comes in a circuit like that. That when you look at the track map, looks simple. They're all 90-degree corners. That's your bread and butter as a racing driver. But they're all so different. And the track looks so similar the whole way around, except for the roundabout. It's really hard to know where you are. Really easy to make a mistake. Carry a bit more speed in because you think it's another one than it actually is, and you get caught up in the wall. As we're watching here, a freeway battle. Jack Atkinson being attacked by Jack Connell, and they're touched. And Jack Atkinson's round. And he's hit Whittaker. But didn't want to get through. Big move there from Connell on the inside, Atkinson on the outside. They hit. Their collars connect a little bit, and then eventually. It looked like they might have got away with it, but then eventually Atkinson just getting spun around, and he'll be bitterly disappointed because he won for a very strong result. The other car in that, Connell, he's managed to keep going. Looks like without any damage. But what has done is broken up his top 10 pack a little bit. So on the inside, just touches Atkinson. Atkinson gets turned around. He gets sent into one of the Whittakers. The other Whittaker has to go wide to avoid him, and that loses him a couple of positions. So I believe that was
Brendan's in the line as well, yeah.
Brendan Whittaker's in the lane. He got damaged from the instant. He is out of this race, as is Atkinson. We saw him pulling over. And what that's done is that's broken apart this battle at the front. What was a really close battle pack, pretty much for the top 10, is now split into 3 packs. You've got the first 2, Brunt and Chapman. You then got Thurston and Connell, and then you got Merritt down to Whittaker in 8th. So look here. So it just looks like millimetres. We're talking millimetres from that being one full, but Connell just drifts a bit too wide, drifts into concern. Some will say could Atkinson have been wider. He was pretty wide. I don't think there's much wider he could have gone, and yeah, just really unlucky that what wasn't a big contact has ended in disaster there, not just for Atkinson but also for Whittaker, who was a car that was not involved in the initial shunt. And it'll be interesting to see what our live race control, currently being run by Hendo, Kevin Henson, for those not familiar with his abbreviated name, thinks of that.
And also good news, seems SDK's stopped having its clip, should be back up and running at full strength.
Excellent, back to full strength thanks to the hard work from Alex in the background here, whose voice you will hear chiming in every so often.
That freaking safety gas. There we go.
And now we've got Riskol's now. He's attacking John Merritt. He's going to have the inside for the first corner. Merritt's starting to get out of it. No, not worth finding around the outside. It's far too tricky a corner for that. And he'll sit behind him through this hairpin and look to perhaps just stay with him and then make a move on the back straight the seaside way. If we can stay with him, because Riskol's like he put out a bit of a gap even just a couple of corners we were watching there. We're now watching Gilbert. He is racing with Braden Sagassa, who's up 12 spots, returning to some of his form from last week, which is really nice to see. He'll be hunting for a top 10, although saying that, he's got 10 seconds to make up with the car ahead, and he's only got just under half the race to do it in. It's not impossible, but it's going to be very, very difficult unless some of the cars ahead of him come unstuck. And at a street circuit like this, as Julian Palmer would say, you have to stay aware on a street circuit. Yeah, well, duh. Because otherwise the walls hit you pretty hard and you find yourself out of the race, and instead of top 10 you end up finishing last, like we've seen happen to Atkinson to Whittaker. Whittaker has rejoined the race. He's in 19th spot, and Atkinson, I don't see his name, which is he's 25th. So both of them are joining the race, which is really nice to see, not just turning the machines off. Hopefully they can have some fun for the end of the race and maybe rescue someone like the respectable position, but it's going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, I think Brendan had a 42-second stop, so he's got a penalty somewhere. But Atkinson, I think, but the biggest one was he went into the back side of the pits before the hairpin, which kills you with penalties.
Yeah, it really So he stopped for 1 minute 43 in the pit lane, which is longer than you would expect. About a minute of penalties by the looks of it.
Yeah, Brendan's got a 40 second of some sort because he's done he's used 2.9 seconds stop to get the repairs, but 40 seconds on top of that.
So yeah, big stops there, big punishment into pit here. We're seeing Chris Whitaker now. He is on the back of Brett McMullen. Looks like he's got a bit more pace at this point in the race, but with a street circuit it's really hard to overtake even one as wide as this because there's just so much danger every single corner. So we'll see, and he will looks like he's got a better run out there. You could see the line, allow him to carry more speed through there, and I think we might see him move down the end of this straight. Let's have a look, see if he pulls to the inside here. He's going to pull to the inside. Has he got enough of a low speed to make it work? He's going to go later on the brakes. I see a tiny hint of a lock up there. Manages to get round, doesn't make the overtake, and he'll slide in back behind Brett McMullen and try again a little bit later in the lap. Double left-hander, the Indy left, coming into this really tight right-hander, and now onto this shoreline drive, which they'll blast down. Whitaker hoping to get a bit of slipstream, just to get him alongside the car ahead. He's not close enough though. I don't think there's going to be a move coming into this first corner, but I've been wrong before. Let's have a wait and see.
A bit of blow up on the radio. Connell's got a couple of penalties to his name, so he's leading, but it's a question. It might not be where he ends up on the result sheet, and he's having a bit of a chat with RC about it. So some of the other boys are not happy.
So RC not happy with Connell's conduct here tonight.
No. The other drivers like, I'm trying to race here.
Oh, they're trying to get him a penalty, right? I see.
No. They're just sick of the back and forth. They're just talking a bit too much over the comms when the guys are trying to concentrate. There's nothing obscene or brutal about the conversation. It was just it was going on a bit long.
There you go, getting a bit of the behind the scenes there from Adam. The driver's not having the talking on the radio, and it's very distracting when it happens, particularly when you're not part of the conversation. When you're part of the conversation, you know when you're about to speak, you know you're just about when you're expecting your response. You can time it to when you're on the straights. It's not too bad, but when other drivers are talking, they talk at points where you're just not expecting it, and it can throw you off as you're trying to focus on the corner, on your braking marker. It can just put you off, you miss it by a few meters, and you end up in the wall at a track like this. Which might have been what's happened to Glenn Riddell. No, he's been caught up in another crash. Yeah, that's really unlucky.
Ashley Kersey was trying to get to the lane, and things haven't gone well.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Things not going well. So this is what happened ahead of Glenn Riddell. So Ashley Kersey, you can see he's got damage. Look at the front left of the car. Suspension all out of whack. He's gone straight on there, hit the wall, and bounced back. Not getting on his brakes fast enough to stop the car going backwards, and getting into the path of Glenn Riddell there. I dare say race control won't be super happy with that one. We're now going to watch Sagasa. Oh, just trying to carry too much speed. You saw the slide he had on. Really tried to hold it. Had the track been a few meters wider, he might just have managed to, but instead the back end hit the wall, and that sent him around. Hopefully not too much damage, and he'll be able to continue.
Gilbert's done all the dodges, which is...
Let's have a look at this. Jared Gilbert. Oh, just managing to avoid the car ahead as he spun. Thankfully not going quite as fast as the tyres would allow, which meant he could put on a little bit more lock without spinning and just get to the inside of the car ahead, which is clever to do, clever thing to do if you're following the car ahead, because you never know when they are going to make a mistake. And that's why one of the things you need to do when you're driving is not fixate. Don't target fixate on the car ahead. It's a really natural thing to do. If any of you have been to a kart track, you notice when you're following someone, you just watch them. But all that does is make sure that you take the exact same line as them, and that means you're not going to go any faster than them. What you need to do is still focus on your own line and just use your peripherals to keep track of them, because if you just follow them and they make a mistake and they go deep, you will also go deep, and you don't want to do that. It's very easy to do if you get target fixation, and then what happens is when they crash, you're driving at them because you naturally tend to drive where you are looking. So it's really hard to avoid incidents sometimes. That's why you see drivers, they sort of panic and they end up plowing straight into the car ahead sometimes. It's because they didn't pick a side, because they were just watching the car ahead and thinking, don't hit it, so then you hit it. So instead you have to try and not ignore the car in front, you need to be aware of what they're doing. It's really tricky really tricky balancing act. We just saw John Merritt using all the track and a little more, getting to within less than a millimetre of the wall. Wouldn't be surprised if he's got a tiny bit of wall on his wing mirror there. But certainly it would not have wanted to go any closer to the wall, and he is absolutely pushing. He is desperate to crack this top 5 and maybe just steal the podium in the last 5 minutes of this race, which will translate to about 3 laps. Jeff Connell's still in the lead, although he's got penalties. Closest in second, Gosnell in third, Brunt in fourth, and Sam Chapman currently in 5th place. So we're not sure currently who the final podium will be, and all these drivers will be wanting to get as close as they can to Luda, who has been in discussions with race control on the radio about penalties that are coming potentially his way. Although, in my experience, I dare say arguing race control tends not to lessen penalties. Anyway, we are now at the top 6. John Merritt at the back of this group. He's got nothing to lose. But he's not close enough to Sam Chapman to make a move. Fastest lap of the race just been posted by Rhys Gosnell at a 1:32.36. That's incredibly quick. That's about as quick as we saw anybody in qualifying. He is looking to put pressure onto Jason Close in second, and maybe now second for a victory here tonight. There's been enough incidents in the field. The pack is fairly spread out, so there's not too many battle packs for us to report. There's a battle going on between Maynard and Chapman for 18th, and Kurt Chapman for 18th, and then other than that, this battle of the lead really is the closest battle of these top 6 with Chris Whitaker. He's 4 seconds behind. Now he's got a couple of laps, he may, but the pace is too high. I don't see him catching these boys in front. Let's have a look at what's happened to Josh Rizzuno. We've watched him a few times on the stream tonight, so he'll be pretty happy with his airtime, or not so happy with this airtime. Just spinning, car behind him, lucky to avoid him, did well. But how many cars have we seen do that? Like I said, it's really hard to judge because you just think the track might be a little bit wider than you remembered it. You sort of fool yourself into thinking that you take a little bit more speed, particularly late in a race where you're trying to catch up to cars ahead. You know you don't really have time. You need to find time from somewhere if you want to do anything and get even one more position. You start looking for time in places where it isn't, and then you end up in incidents like that with the car just spinning. Yeah, I agree. The flick spin. Really hard to do in these cars because of the traction control though. So
the setup we're using in the series has got either none or very low traction control, so it actually can do it.
Yeah, do you have to drop the clutch to get it to happen?
I would assume so.
Yes, I'd imagine so. I don't think it's like the F3s where you can just hammer it and make it happen. I think you do need to drop the clutch.
The thing is with the F3s though, as soon as you do it, you got to wait 10 minutes for your tyres to come in.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. The tricky thing is tyres. And you'll notice most racing games, one of the things that separates a racing game from a full-on simulation like iRacing is racing games. They might say that they simulate tyre temperature, but they really don't do it very well. If you spin them, they generally won't warm up that much, and even if they do, the impact is lessened. In iRacing, tyre warm is a big part of the game. If you get into a car, your first lap often will be miles off the pace because you've got no temperature in tyres, and you can really feel that hurting you. Gosnell trying to get up the inside there, and that Connell trying to get up the inside there, and that's not worked there. And then that's
car just going to have a bit of a lap car going slow and a bit of confusion which side to go there.
It is hard with lapped cars, but what that's done is that's cost him the lead. So Jeff Connell was in the lead of this race, quite comfortably. He is now in 3rd place, behind Gosnell, behind Close, ahead of Matthew.
White flag.
After getting caught up with that back market, and we are on the final lap of the race. Can he do anything to improve his position? Will it matter? Because has he got penalties coming? We'll have to wait and see. We won't have to wait long. Only the 1 lap here to go. And we're just going to follow 2nd place. This is Jason Close. He's got Connell half a second behind him. He's 1 second behind Gosnell ahead. Can he catch Gosnell? Will Connell nip him at the line? There's not many overtaking opportunities at this track that are safe. One of them is at the end of the straight. This will be the last real overtaking opportunity unless you can get a much better run through the head and then the lap. So we're seeing a move here. Merritt trying to finally get past Chapman, not managing to do it. So now this is the back straight. Apologies. I was a bit misled by the frozen graphic in the top right there. So it's like close, not close enough to make a move with Gosner. Connell not close to make a move. He's got 2 seconds on Brunt, so depending on any penalties he got, he may not be on the podium. Close, going a bit wide there after getting the car.
There was a car spun.
Car spun. I missed that. I looked away for a second.
It was on the lap cars, it was on the red lap cars, on the apex, and then dodging, and that's the end of the race.
That is the end of the race. Rhys-Gosner takes the victory, close to second, Connell in third, then Chapman ran out the top 5. Chapman managing to stay ahead of Merritt to the end of the race. Chris Whitaker, he finishes in 7th after being caught in that earlier incident. Brett McMullen, he'll finish in 8th place. And then Paul Nicholls looking to crack the top 10 and bring it home in 9th place after a nice, clean race. So we're just watching Jason Close here.
He's beached Esbro.
Just beaching it.
And he come the leaders there.
He can do whatever he likes this lap.
No, that was the replay. That was the replay of the last corner.
The last corner?
That was the replay. The leaders coming on the last corner. There was a car stuck on the inside. It was just it was Ashley there stuck on the inside.
I say not Ashley, not just. Sorry, I thought you meant Jason beached it. I was like, well, Jason finished second, so
the graphics are playing up again. My bad.
These graphics. Ugh. All right, cool. So there you go. That was the second race for the GR86. Lots of incidents to bring you tonight, which is a bit of a shame. We're usually a bit better than that, but with Long Beach being a circuit, I think there's always a stage of this happening. Whitaker battling to the line and just holding on to that position from Phil King. And they were your last cars on the lead lap, I believe. So we're now wait and see. Hopefully we'll get some of the guys into the broadcast booth to have a bit of a chat and see what's happening. And now we'll bring you the final results, pending penalties. We've got Rhys-Gosner, he takes the victory, close in second, Connell in third, Matthew Brunt in fourth. He'll be really happy with that. That's not a name we see in the top 5 very often. Chapman in 5th, Merritt in 6th. Chris Whitaker in 7th, Brett McMullen in 8th, Paul Nicholls in 9th. He'll be really happy to crack the top 10, and then Kurt Woodward in 10th place, who I dare say will also be happy to have cracked the top 10. He's top 10 tonight, keep it clean. Russell Belcher, he finishes 11th with Greg Paget in 12th. That's quite high up for Greg, so he'll be happy with that. Brendan Van Ryn finishes 13th, Michael Ladder in 14th, Brennan Whitaker in 15th, having to recover from getting involved in an incident, not his fault, earlier on in the race. We then got Phil King in 16th, and Anthony Adshead in 17th, Dom Grundy in 18th, Kurt Chapman in 19th, and Jared Gilbert rounds out the top 20. Behind them, there's a few more point scorers, which we can bring to you now. Joshua Maynard, he gets 21st place. Jack Atkinson, who we saw running at the front at the beginning, getting caught up in an incident. That incident with name completely flew out of my head there. Getting into an incident and tumbling down the order. Then we've got Shane Newens in 23rd, Joshua Zuno in 24th, and Ashley Kersey gets the last points at 25th place. Other finishers are Brayden Sagasa, Glenn Riddle, Matt Smitke, and then the others didn't really do many laps at all. And they are Ellis, Wong, Bradbury, Bullock, Bailey, McQueen, and a few others. And we're now joined in the comms box by Matt Smitke. Matt, how was your race? What happened?
Didn't go well for me this week. I qualified, I think, 15th, and then after the safety car I was 11th, and I'm like, this is going to be the week that I get that 10th position, but I just made a mistake on that last 90 right-hander and hit the wall. Well, I only just clipped the wall, but I had to wait for a bunch of cars, and yeah, I just couldn't get up the field in the first race, and then second race just kind of went worse from there.
It's amazing how it happens, isn't it? You get into one incident and then you get into more because they just breed incidents. And to be fair, you are one of many drivers who got into incidents here tonight. I think well over half the field got involved in some sort of incident.
Yeah, I managed to dodge all the chaos in the first race, but Well, until I made a mistake. But yeah, the second race, it's kind of, I would kind of dodge one thing, but then all the cars would catch up behind you, and then you just get stacked up. And yeah.
Yeah. Did you were you pushing in the first race? Was that why you made the mistake, or did you just were just a bit unlucky, just get it slightly wrong?
Yeah, I was pushing a bit because I felt like I was faster than, I can't remember who I was behind, but it seemed like I had a bit of pace on him, so I wanted to get that. Oh, don't look at that. That's horrible driving there. Yeah, I thought I could get him, and I'm like, that's 10th spot. I'll start on the front ones finally, but yeah, I just stuffed it up.
Oh, it's like a poison chalice at 10th. When you're in 11th place, it just seems to breed incidents.
Yeah, it's just, just stuffed it up there.
Yeah, the key thing is to not dwell on stuffing it up, but to remember that you had the pace to get into the top 10, and you do it at one race. There's no reason why you won't have the pace to get into the top 10 at one of the other rounds coming up.
Yeah,
nothing you could have done about that incident.
Hopefully, yeah. Oh, there's another one. I kind of just checked up, and the guy come up beside me, and I kind of turned in on him. But yeah, just kind of too many cars in one spot.
Yeah, one of those awkward moments where you check up, the car behind you doesn't have enough time to brake and just sit behind you, so they almost force them to go for the overtake, but it's not really on, and then it's awful when that happens.
Yeah.
That's motor racing. It's clumsy at times.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully I have a better run next week. This track, I qualified better than I thought. I was not having a good run in practice. I think I did one good lap at the start and then just couldn't get another lap together. But yeah, I managed to pull one together in quali and dodged chaos, but then went not good after that.
How good is that feeling though when you pull one together in quali and you get speed that you sort of knew was there, but you've not been able to put it together yet, and then it all comes together on that one lap? It's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, exactly. This car is also, especially this track, you think you're going to get a good lap, but it's real bumpy on a lot of the apexes, and you'll get two corners good, and then you'll hit a bump wrong and lose all the time you're up, and then the next lap you might get through that corner all right, and then another corner you'll hit a bump weird, and it's just really hard track to get right.
Really, really hard track to get right, I agree. And particularly because all the corners are different widths, and it's really hard to remember where you are on the track, so you don't know if it's going to get narrower or wider. You have to really focus in on the track. One person that did master the track here tonight was Jason Close. He's joined us in the comms box. Really good night's work.
Cheers, mate. I wouldn't say we mastered the track, but had a horrible qualifying session and was trying to fight back the whole way from there.
Would have not mastered it, but maybe at the very least, I think you're adept at it, shall we say? Poor qualifying, managed to sneak into 10th place in the first race to get yourself into reverse grid pole, and then held on for second place in the second race.
Yeah, I was a big beneficiary of that big incident in the first race, and managed to sneak up the inside and get past about eight or nine cars off the first turn, so that was pretty lucky. And then that second race, we were having a pretty good battle. I saw Reese coming, but when and I saw Jeff had a 10-second penalty, so I knew that we were fighting for the lead, but unfortunately just didn't fall my way.
Yeah, Jeff, of course, getting a 10-second penalty, I believe, for the incident with Atkinson. Was it as early as that, or was it a later incident?
No, it was earlier than that. I think it was one at... I could be wrong.
I think there's one for the fountain at the start of the race, and then the one with Atkinson as well are both under investigation, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
A couple of incidents there, but then he got caught up with the back marker, and it didn't matter for you in the end because you got past him.
Yeah, unfortunately, that allowed Reese to get past me though, so that is what it is. I was pretty stoked with second. That should be good for the championship.
Yeah, really good for the championship. Noted you as a name that is in the top 5 in the championship that had qualified down the order, but you managed to do a really good recovery drive, and looks like you managed to hold on to 5th place ahead of Connor Nixon, who wasn't here tonight. And then you're just behind Gosner. So there's a tight battle between the two of you. Only 10 points. It's very blurry on my screen, so I think it's only 10 points between the two of you. And then not far from Brendan Whitaker either. So that's going to be a really tight battle between the three of you. And then Connor Whitaker looked like they've just pulled away a little bit in the top 2 positions. Are probably not going to be under threat for the last race unless one of them has a horror show.
Yeah, mate, I'm stoked to be in battling with these guys. I respect those top 4 guys. They're sensational. So to even be battling with them is That's a massive. Very happy with it.
It's good to hear you're so happy. And yeah, they are incredibly fast races. That is some really high company indeed that you are keeping. Congratulations on your podium here tonight. And we'll move over to chat to the third driver that's joined us in the comms box, which is Paul Nichols. You cracked the top 10, mate.
Yeah, really happy with that. I was just hoping to finish. Really, I mean, this track is such a technical track, and my pace obviously wasn't up with the guys up the front. You know, it's probably 1.5 seconds slower than them. But considering the first lap incidents in both races, I got through them cleanly, which is pretty amazing. So, really happy with that. Really good fun. And congratulations, guys up the front. Yeah, Reese and Jason and Jeff Connell. Really good turnout tonight, which is good as well. With a difficult track and hard track to get your head around, but a lot of fun.
Yeah, just shy of 40 drivers in the end, which is an incredible turnout. It's about as high as we've seen all season. And like you said, at a really difficult technical track.
Yeah, absolutely, and the Subaru did really well tonight. I'm surprised it competed well against the 86s. So I'm not sure what the mechanics have done to it, but it's done really well. Yeah,
it's done very well. Maybe it's the fleshy bit behind the steering wheel that's improved. Getting no incidents at Long Beach. That's an impressive effort for any driver, regardless of the car.
Yeah, look, that's what I was concentrating on, just staying clean. Look, I knew I didn't have the pace, but I knew if I stayed clean, there'd be incidents and, I'd pick up some pace. I think I qualified 13th, and then started the second race. I also got P12 and then started the second race in P12. And I knew just if I stayed clean, I'd hopefully pick up a top 10, which is always my goal with the competition that we have and the driving standards we have. So, really good night. Race control did a great job. A couple of incidents, obviously, and a couple of things I'll look at after the race. But overall, I think pretty good to get through 2 races and have a safety car in the first race, and the carousel or the water, or I suppose the fountain area, there's always a compaction point. So I think driving standards really good. Really happy with it tonight. It's good.
Yeah, and a big thank you to those in race control tonight. I'll just echo those comments. Really good to have a live race control tonight at a track like this, so we can get some of those penalties sorted before the end of the race, and then have a big look at those bigger incidents just to make sure that we calm drivers down where they need to be calmed down. And so really good to have them on board with us tonight. And congratulations again on your top 10 finish. Well deserved, mate. You've been on the fringes of it for a little while now, so it's good to see you.
I saw one of my mates, and Pete Matson, one of the founding members of the club, and myself were founding members. And Pete's been pushing the top 10. I thought, geez, I've got to give it a go. So I did some practice this week, which is always a good thing, I think, if you're a race car driver.
It is always a good thing. But then you find that there's never enough practice. You start off with one night a week, you go, you know what, I'll dedicate this night to practice, and then you're like, you know what, I bet I could go a bit faster if I do a second night of practice. And then you find an extra couple of attempts, and then all of a sudden your family's left you and you're
Well, my partner really enjoys the sim racing. We've got 2 rigs. I've got one set up next to me for her and her son, so she's into it, which is great. So yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah, my partner watches the streams in the background while she does other stuff, just so she can hear my voice, which is...
Yeah, well, shout out to all the partners that let us do this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, shout out to all the partners that put up with us and believe us when we underquote them how expensive the steering wheel and all the other stuff is. No, it's only like $50, I swear.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it on eBay. It's really cheap.
Yeah, it's second hand. Why did it come brand new in the box with all the packaging? They kept it all. They loved it.
I saw a comment the other day that they can't believe that people spend the same sort of money on a sim rig as a race car. It's like, well, yeah, when you crash it, you don't have to pay for it. So I don't think so.
Yeah, I also don't understand mechanics, so I could try and work on my own car, but it wouldn't go very well. I ended up with 4 square wheels somehow.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, good call tonight, guys. Haven't watched the replay, but looking forward to it. And Porsche's up next. Where are they?
Interlagos.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. I'll watch that.
And it's a 1-hour endurance race tonight.
Wow. Okay.
Which will be superb. Love that track.
Yep, absolutely. I look forward to the broadcast. And have a good night. Well done, Adam. Great broadcast again, as usual.
All good. To reiterate your comments from earlier, the first lap of both races, it looked like the guys did actually keep their heads on, because the congestion was more from people making mistakes than people trying to be a bit silly. So at least they hopefully took my advice earlier today in the Discord chat and Just try to get through those first couple of corners, because once you get through that first lap, then you can start racing and having some fun.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was critical. I think putting those sort of comments up in the Discord channel just kind of calms people down, particularly a track like this. You need to, you know, you're not going to win a race in the first lap. So look, I'm sure there was some, just mistakes that caused the congestion, and that happens obviously. So I think really good driving standards overall tonight. So great job by all the drivers.
Yeah, the track's already a high risk element, so there's no need to add the high risk passing attempts and high risk squared.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I was overtaken by a couple of back markers who were laps down. It's like, I'm not going to race these guys. I'm not in their race, so just let them go. So, that's the mentality I have. If someone's quicker than me, just give them room, let them go.
Yeah, that's the mentality I have to have. Otherwise, I crash because I crack so easily under any sort of pressure. I have to be at the back of the pack. Whatever pack I'm in, I just go to the back of it and then I'm happy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work very well in cars like this where the battle pack can be 10 cars long.
Yeah, look, there's not too many overtaking opportunities here. I think I only had one overtake, and that was with Kurt Woodward. I think Kurt had a damaged car, so I'll take that. That's an overtake. Anyway, whatever.
It's an overtake. You didn't need to anyway. You made it into the top 10. Congratulations again. Thanks for your kind words.
Cheers, guys. Yep, no worries. Thank you.
We've already brought up the fact that we've got the Blackout Electrical Solutions Porsche Cup coming to you later tonight. And that broadcast, as well as this broadcast, is brought to you by a plethora of sponsors that we've got here at the GSRC in 2023 Season A. And they are, in no particular order, Waste Options, Blackout Electrical Solutions, Login Systems, West Orange Motors, Astute Finance, Insurance and Wealth, Fisher Door Lawyers, and last but not least, Flash Graphics. We'll be taking a short break now, and then we will come back in a few minutes to bring you the Blackout Electrical Solutions Porsche Cup live from Interlagos. Everybody, welcome back to the GSRC Wednesday night stream, where we are now live from Brazil into Interlagos. We made the trip from North America to South America to this absolutely legendary racetrack, where we will be bringing you the Blackout Electrical Solutions Porsche Cup penultimate round of the 2023 Season A season. Interlagos is a track perhaps most famous for the very dramatic final lap in which Lewis Hamilton won the championship on the final lap of the race when he overtook Timo Glock to take home 5th place and steal the championship from hometown favourite and Ferrari driver Felipe Massa. Conditions tonight are, as always, perfect, although there is a bit more wind than we've come to expect from recent events in the GSRC in the Porsche Cup. 20 degrees temperature, which is absolutely perfect, but look at that wind, 11 kilometers an hour. That might just catch one or two drivers out if it is putting in the run direction and it becomes a tailwind instead of a headwind, or it catches the side of the car and might just send you into a spin if you are on the absolute edge of grip. But in saying that, I'm hyping it up a little bit because 11 kilometers an hour is not very strong. It's enough to get the trees moving around a bit outside, but not that much more. Here is the standings. No surprises at the front. Matty Dench absolutely walking the championship, yet to be beaten. Will we see him beaten here tonight? If the qualifying results are anything to go by, it's unlikely, but you never know. We then got Shane Wright in second, followed closely by Dylan Shepherd. That's a live battle of him. See, then behind them, Spinozzi and Pedersen are tied for 4th place with Corey Lazarus, who has been strong. He's been frequently in 2nd place. Just in 6th, 1 point behind. So look for those three to be doing battle here tonight. Then Guy Leach, he's not far detached. He's in 7th, with Samuel Sproul in 8th, Ben Croydon in 9th, and Brett Barker in 10th. And from Sproul down to Barker, there's not much between them. And then they're not far ahead of John O'Freeman or Alan Dawson and Andrew Smith. You then got Corey Bennett and Stefan Lawrence a bit further down in 14th and 15th. Magnus Rowney live in 16th fighting them. John Merritt, not someone we've seen too often in the Porsche Cups. And looks like he's not on the grid here tonight from what I can see. So we're going to bring you the open standings. Paul Wilson's at the head of this, 2 points ahead of Gallagher and only 13 points ahead of Snadden. It is between the three of them for the victory in the Open Cup. Callum Heinrich is quite far detached in 4th, over 100 points behind. He's got Calvin Little for company. And then there's a bit of a gap again to Bradley Carr, Brendan Van Ryn, Michael Plinus, Adam Tice, Greg Paget, Robert McGrath and Christopher Ruddle, who are in a 6-car strong battle. 7-car? Quick mouse, not working for me tonight. 7-car strong battle for 6th place in the championship. And we will bring you updates through the Open Championship tonight because both the Elite and the Open Cup run on the same server now. This is the team standings. Blackout Motorsport New Zealand with Corey Lazarus and Samuel Sproul. They're in 1st. You then got Team Joan with Ben Croydon and John Freeman in 2nd. Twitchy Foot Racing in 3rd. And PGZ with Matty Dench, the lone driver, in 4th place, and not looking out of the picture for a top 3 finish if the likes of Arnott, Gallagher, Croydon or Freeman have a poor race. Behind them you then got Riot Sim Racing, the Bean Boss Racing, Slow In Slow Out, Frog Leap Racing, Locked On Racing and PGA Australia for the top 10. And this is your grid tonight. No surprises. Matty Dench, he's on pole and he had a whopping 3/4 of a second over Corey Lazarus, who starts alongside him. Then it's a lot tighter from there on out. Shane Wright and Dylan Shepherd on the 2nd row with Leach and Croydon behind them. Then they got John O'Freeman and Ardley on the 4th row with Ramsey and Barker rounding out the top 10. Behind them, Pedersen is in 11th. Pole for the open split goes to Dane Snadden. You then got Stewart and Dawson, and behind them Smith and Sagassa in 16th. Paul Wilson is in 2nd place in open, and he's got Gallagher alongside him, the top 3 in the championship, the top 3 in qualifying. You then got Brett Bradbury in 19th. He'll be hoping for something reminiscent of the Olympics with Jaron Knight in 20th. Then we've got more of the open split cars. McGrath, Van Ryn, Heinrich, Plonus, Adam Tice, Shane Newens, Greg Paget and Michael Latter rounding out the grid for us here tonight. 28 cars here tonight across 2 classes. The majority are in the Elite class with a handful then in the Open. But don't let that feel that Open Championship is worth just as much to the drivers competing in it as the Elite is to the others. Apparently, Matty Dent shared his race setup before this race with anyone that wanted it, just to prove that it is him and not the setup that has made him blindingly quick in the Porsche Cup. The lights are on, they're off, and all the cars get away. Good start from Dej and Shane Wright. Under pressure for Shane Wright. Will he be able to go around the outside into the first corner? There's a few positions swapping further down in the pack. Let's have a look. Too wide for second place. Shane Wright on the outside. He's going to tuck in behind Corey Lazarus, or he's going to shove it up the inside. No, he doesn't shove it up the inside. He settles for third place. Ben Croydon's got one position. He's up on Guy Leach. Pedersen's up on Barker. Smith's up on Dawson. Jared Knight, he's up 3 places. He's our second biggest mover. Greg Padgett up fourth. He's the biggest mover from 27 to 23rd place after the first couple of corners. And they now drop towards this downhill left-hander that opens up on the exit into a second left-hander. Really tricky. You want to carry as much speed as you can through there. Andrew Smith's gone round. Luckily, everyone has managed to avoid him. Yes, everyone's managed to avoid him. He'll spin the car around using the lack of traction control to his advantage and get going again. We're now watching side-by-side Wright and Lazarus. This is one of those tracks you can go side-by-side through multiple corners, but Lazarus just goes too wide. It's going to put him under pressure from Dylan Shepherd. But he's going to come back up the inside around this tight left-hand U-turn. I wouldn't call it a hairpin, it's not quite tight enough, but it is definitely a U-turn because you are turning 180 degrees there. We saw another car spinning around in the background. That was Brett Barker. He's dropping down the order and he will rejoin likely in at last place. Corey Lazarus manages to get past third and he's solidified third a little bit. He's no longer under immediate pressure, but Dylan Shepherd is right behind him and him now powering up the hill onto this final straight. Look at that. Not much to choose between them. It's not the longest of straights, even when you include the hill, but it is long enough that you can make a move down into this phenomenal first corner that drops away from you, making it so tricky to get the braking right. Too much braking and you will spin, and you want to hug it somewhat to the inside just to open up the second corner so you can be flat through the second corner, as flat as you can through third. Depending on the car, it might be flat, there may be a lift, you may even just need to have a little bit of brake on to get around there, depending on how much speed you carried and what car you're in. They'll then get around that corner, they'll then go down this straight, which is another overtaking opportunity into another downhill left-hander. No one going for it here on lap 2. We're now following Shane Wright. Shane Wright, he's 2.6 seconds already behind Manny Dench. Corey Lazarus right behind him. Corey Lazarus did qualify in second, so he'll be hoping to get that position back. In the open split, I believe Snadden is in the lead. He is in 13th overall. He is leading the open split, but he has got Wilson and Gallagher not far behind, and then Van Ryn is right on their coattails. Less than a second behind Snadden and Wilson, and then Gallagher within half a second on Wilson ahead. That is a live battle with them side by side on the racetrack. Matt Stewart, he's looking to make a move on his teammate. He's got the inside for that corner, but that'll put him on the outside here. Will his teammate let him past? His teammate being Braden Sagasa, one of the heroes from the GR86 last week, having a tougher round this week for the 86, but he'll look to make amends in the Porsche Cup and going all right so far. He's in 11th place, up 5 spots.
Battle for the lead.
Battle for the lead in the open split.
Oh, no, it's not. No, sorry, Dawson's not in it. Sorry,
no, it's not a battle for the lead open split.
It's
Dawson.
We have got. Yeah, it's Wilson, White, and then we've got the 3 cars on the outside there. So you got Snadden and the black and white, then you got the white car for Wilson and the green and black car for Gallagher. Yeah.
So we're now watching Snadden. He is that black and white car. He's got the purple car behind him of Matt Stewart. Matt Stewart is not in the open class. He is in the elite class. You've then got Alan Doss behind them in the Riot Act car. He is also in the elite class. And then you've got Paul Wilson. Paul Wilson in this car here, the predominantly white car with the CVX on it. He is in the open split, and he is the one that Dane Snadden is really racing. So although they're not door to door, they're not head to tail, they are close enough to each other on the racetrack that is a live battle for position. There's just a couple of cars in between them, but none of those cars have got more than a second gap, so they are very, very close in the same battle pack. We now swapped over to Ben Croydon. Now we're going to go to a replay. Let's have a look. Andrew Smith, we're going to see what happened to him. So they're going 3 wide into this corner. Oh, just the barest hint of a touch there sends him round. Looked like all 3 were trying to be very sensible there, even though it was 3 wide and 3 wide. It's never really that sensible. They looked like they had it under control and just unlucky there. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of net code to play there, and Bet Barker just getting turned there. Little tap to the rear. Again, I'll have to get a closer replay to see if there was a little bit of netcode involved or whether it was just a genuine slight touch. We got Rd-9 getting it all out of shape, locking up his brakes, diving down the inside. Luckily enough, the cars on his outside were aware of the threat and managed to avoid him. He then goes over the grass and rejoins pretty much safely, but further down the pack. Although he is up 6 spots from his starting position of 20th, he's down in 14th, and we know Rd-9 has got some pace in him when the mood takes him. So Brendan Van Ryn just carrying a little bit too much speed, or perhaps braking a little bit too hard as he tried to turn, and that sent the rear rounders. He's got too much weight on his front tyres and not enough at the rear. I was watching just Alan Dawson, who had his spin and then rejoining. We saw that in live pictures earlier, but didn't really call that out too much because we were trying to work out who was fighting who in the open split. We're now watching Jono Freeman. He's currently in 7th place. He's got Guy Leach ahead of him in 6th, and then Ben Croydon in 5th. Jono Freeman, another fast driver, frequently in the top 10 in the elite split. And he'll be looking to try and break it to the top 5. Because only the one race for you here tonight is an endurance round, which means instead of doing the customary 2 races, we do 1 race, and it is 60 minutes long. So a longer race than normal, meaning strategy is going to play an even bigger part than normal. Don't think anyone's going to make it to the end. Will it be 1 stop or 2? That's probably the question for a lot of these drivers. The answer will be do whatever Matty Dench does, because he is going at a phenomenal pace. He's just put in the fastest lap of the race, a 1:34.5, and he's got almost a 5-second lead on the next car after only 4 laps going into lap 5. So he's currently over a second quicker than anybody else on the track, which is, well, about a second quicker, which is pretty darn impressive. And as we know, he's generally one of the best on fuel as well, and I'm just going to assume he's also one of the best in tyres. He actually spoke to us after the last race and he said one of the tricks to going fast for these cars is to be gentle on the tyres. You need to go gentle, you need to keep them in an optimal range, otherwise you will just go slower. Now watching Guy Leach, he's got Jono Freeman behind him. Freeman looks like he's got the pace on Leach, but then Leach in turn doesn't have that much of a gap in front of him to Croydon, and it's really hard to make it overtake in these battle packs because you go up the inside and you're always at danger of clipping the car, not the car that you're trying to overtake, but the next car in the pack. It makes it really, really difficult. And what these cars will be doing in this battle pack is saving fuel, because you've got the cars in front of you pushing all the air out of the way, your car's pushing less out of the way, air out of the way, and that costs you less fuel, which then over a stint, over 20 minutes, that builds up to quite an advantage in pit stops. It might mean you can go a bit longer, or it might mean in your last stop that you don't have to stop for as long in the pits, which is time that you get back. So if you are running, if you couldn't run much faster anyway, if this is about your pace, you're better off not being at the head of this pack like Shane Wright is, because he'll be burning more fuel. He's burning extra fuel to push the air out of the way for all of the cars behind him, and every car further back you go, you get a little bit of extra advantage as the second car, the third car, the fourth car also push more of the air out of the way. But on the track like Interlagos, the slipstream, it's not going to be enough to put you alongside the car in front, but it probably will be enough to make a difference to your fuel numbers. I've seen a few cars run wide there as they try to carry as much speed as they can onto this straight. Freeman looking up the inside, thinks better of it. So we're talking behind Leach. Oh, Leach has spun. Well, he's not quite spun, but he's certainly sent himself off the track, just losing the back end. Really easy to do that with the downhill left-hander, because the downhill aspect of the corner pushes more of the weight to the front of the car. So you're carrying a little bit too much speed, a little bit too much front brake, the rear of the car goes light, and you see what happens there. The car just walks wide. He did well. He tried to catch it early. That's what stopped him going into a spin, but it has lost him a few places, and Guy Leach has returned in 9th place. He was in 6th. That little moment costing him 3 positions, and as we saw, there's not many moves going on track at the moment. Very hard to effect an overtake here tonight. We may also be seeing some cars just playing it careful because they know strategy is going to play a big part. So do not be surprised if it's a bit like a Formula E race or a MotoGP full length race where there's a bit of action at the start, it then settles in for a period while everyone figures out where they're going to be in the race. Everyone does the tyre saving, fuel management that they need to do. Big moment there for Rd-9. He's not.
It was snap in the background. A big snap.
Snowden, of course, the leader of the Open Championship, he will not want to throw it away by going for a spin here tonight, and he's got Wilson and Gallagher now directly behind him. This is battle on for the Open Championship.
Yeah, unlike last week where we had a couple of elite guys as a buffer, he's got a race on this week. He's got his guys are right behind him, so it's a race, a proper race against races.
And as we saw,
if I can get a sentence out, it'll be good.
And as we saw, it is tight enough that whoever wins here tonight will likely take the lead of the championship, or at least be darn close to it. So Snowden will absolutely not want to lose even a single position here tonight to one of his rivals. This is, of course, the penultimate round. Only one round for this, which I believe is that
he's lost spots.
Lost spots. He has certainly lost spots. Good catch there. So Snowden, we said he didn't want to make a mistake. He's just fallen behind his main rivals. Let's have a look what happened.
Just lock up.
Not under pressure. Just locked up. A little bit of a slide. Manages to save it. Did really well to keep out of the wall. You saw how hard that thing snapped on him when he tried to get the power back down. It was sliding to the right, the back end out to the right, and then all of a sudden the back end tucks left as he tries to get the power back on. It's so easy to do that and spit yourself into the wall on that right hand side. Instead, he manages to recover and come in behind Gallagher and Wilson, but certainly not attached to him. He's 1.6 seconds behind Gallagher, and we know he's got the pace of Wilson and Gallagher, so the question is now, can he catch back up to Gallagher and get back to the head of that pack? Wilson now leading the race in the open split. In the elite split, we're now watching Dylan Shepherd. He's in 4th place. He's got Corey Lazarus ahead of him, Shane Wright in 2nd, and Matty Dench walking it in 1st place. He's perhaps taken his foot off the gas a tiny bit, going a quarter of a second slower that lap. Perhaps just taking it slightly easy, but damn, he's got almost a 7 seconds lead already. That is pretty intense. That is going to be a absolute buzzkill for the rest of the field. He might have thought just maybe tonight was the night to get him. 7 seconds is going to be very hard to make up unless Dench makes some sort of mistake. Here we're watching Dylan Shepherd. He's got Corey Lazarus right in front of him in the Fisher Door Lawyers car. Fisher Door, one of our sponsors here at the GSRC. And he's also someone you can speak to if you want to hear more about our main sponsor, Blackout Electrical Solutions. He's currently in 3rd place, so he's on the podium, so he'll be very, very happy with that. But if he wants to prove it, he's going to have to get past Shane Wright. Shane Wright, he's a very, very fast driver, slow in, slow out. They're one of the best teams in the Endurance Championship as well. And he's perhaps not had the results that we've expect of him. Recently he's had a couple of a bit of bad luck, a couple of incidents. Looking to get 2nd place here tonight though, if he can hold on to Corey Lazarus, who is another driver that seems to be either battling for the podium or getting unlucky, making a mistake or getting caught in incidents and finishing a bit further down.
Also interesting here, we got so Corey's currently 3rd, so that's good for his own championship. But teams championship wise, it looks like his teammates are here tonight, and both the Giant guys are right there. So the Team Giant could get the bragging rights after tonight. So it could be a bit of an interesting thing with the team side of things.
I certainly could make it interesting on the team side of things. The team championship, a championship we have tended to, I think, neglect a little bit on the broadcasts. But I was really happy we could bring you the positions for the team championship tonight, and hopefully we'll bring them to you at the end of the race. Or certainly not, if not at the end of the race, before the race in the last round, so that we can keep track of both the team's championship and the drivers' championship when we bring you that final round in a week's time. But for now, we're just watching Shane Wright ahead of Lazarus, who's ahead of Shepherd. Don't know who's got the most pace out of this pack because we haven't seen any of them running in clean air, but given how easily Lazarus and Shepherd are keeping up with Wright, it's not out of the bounds of the possibility that they have a little bit of pace in reserve and are just deciding to use this period to save some fuel and get a fuel advantage on Wright on the slower entry.
Another interesting thing tonight, I'm not sure how this track ranks on the tyre wear scale, but when we used to do the 75-minute races at Phillip Island, the Porsches really struggled on tyres at the end of the race. Like, some of them even got punctures. And with the new tyre model, it seems to be a little bit more wear on some of the tyres. So If this track is a bit harsh with these long radius corners, we could see some interesting drop-off at the end of the race.
It is definitely a track that can really punish the tyres. Just look at that track map. There's not too many straights there. You don't get too much of a break, and a lot of them are quite high or medium speed corners, which just shred the tyres, or like we just heard Adam say, they're quite long corners, large radiuses, which also shred your tyres. And being a anti-clockwise circuit, it tends to shred the right-hand tyres a bit more than the left. And particularly, there's quite a few corners where you are accelerating whilst you're still turning, which can shred the back right tyre. So it'll be interesting to see whether they go for 1 or 2 pit stops, and if they go for a pit stop or 2, whether they decide to take new tyres. That's something we'll try and keep track of and bring to you as the race develops. We saw Robert McGrath getting a bit too wide, getting onto the curb and just spitting himself into the wall, as we saw Stannon almost do earlier, but managed to catch it. So Gasser, oh no, unlucky there. So he's got oversteer at the corner, sent him into a spin and out of control, unlucky to find the wall. You tend to think that when something like that happens, you go to the outside of the track and get spun to the outside, which would have been safe. Acres and acres to run off at there, but instead, a bit later in the corner, which made it pitching towards the inside wall instead. Caused him to get damage. Now looking at a teammate battle here between Croydon and Freeman for Team Jaune. As we saw, they were looking pretty nicely placed in the team championship and looking to get big points here. If they can stay in these positions 5th and 6th, that would be a great return for them and could be key to their position in the team's championship and to each of them in the individual drivers championship, because 5th and 6th are very strong places, particularly when the drivers ahead are Dench, Wright, Lazarus and Shepherd, who are drivers we have seen frequently battling in the top 5 positions unless they have some sort of incident. And not just sit behind them, but keeping pace with them as well. The gap between Shepherd and Lazarus is only 0.6 of a second, so they are definitely keeping in touch with this group ahead, keeping in touch with what is effectively the lead group, because the leader, Matty Dench, is off on his own, so it's not really a group. And that's about as high as anyone can aim here tonight, because Matty Dench looks to be in another league, as he so often is. Look at that, look how close the battle is in the Open Championship. Wilson has got Snadden right behind him, so they've dropped Gallagher. I don't know if Gallagher must have had an instance somewhere, because he's dropped a good 5 seconds behind Snadden and Wilson. And we've got Wilson now with Snadden all over the back of him.
I don't think he's had any incidents. He might have had a couple of mistakes. He's in a battle with Dawson and Smith, so they're trying to recover their race. Here we go, Snadden's going for it.
He is going for it. He's got the inside line going to the first corner, but with the way this corner is laid out, you can definitely hold on around the outside if you are brave. Will Wilson do it? He's holding on around the outside. It's going to give him the inside line for the next corner, which then becomes the outside for the third corner, and Snadden's going to get the move done here. Wilson's going to have to tuck him behind him. Is he? Has he got a bit of an overlap? No, he took some behind him, but he's so close. He's going to get the slipstream now. And now he breaks out, saying, no, I'm going to take the inside for this next corner. Tries to get alongside him in the braking zone, but Snadden, last of the late breakers, manages to hold him off. So Snadden, we saw him making a mistake earlier on. We wondered whether he would have the pace to catch Gallagher and Wilson and reclaim the lead in the open split, and he has done just that, recovering well. However, as we have seen, he has already made a mistake tonight. It is not out of the realm of possibility that he makes another, or on pure pace, Wilson is able to come back and beat him. We'll have to wait and see. We also don't know what fuel savings been going on. Has he had to burn extra fuel to make those positions back up, and is that going to compromise him later in the race? As we see, no, we don't see Matty Dench pulling into the pit lane. Thought for a moment he might be, but instead he continues on.
He's almost got the entire front kinky straight all the way.
He's absolutely amazing, isn't he? It's 11.5 seconds ahead.
Absolutely ridiculous.
11.5 seconds ahead. Made his setup open for anyone that wanted to use it. And, yeah, this is the result. But, ignoring that, we've got a fantastic race here for second place. From second down to 10th, down to 9th, There is no gap larger than a second. That is second to ninth on your screen right now, all on the same straight. One small mistake could knock you back 7 places here if you are at the lead of this pack and you are unlucky. Kai Ardley, that's a new name that I do not recognise. He's racing for Real Bad Racing, which seems to be an inaccurate name because he's doing a great job so far. Also not sure of his nationality, as he's got the stars and stripes on his helmet, and he's got the New Zealand silver fern on the side of his car.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know if he's still with the Real Bad Guys. I might fix that. But he's returned to the club. He was away from the club for a little while and had a bit of a sabbatical, and he joined back up a couple of weeks ago. So he's back on track.
Well, lovely to have you back, Kai. I'm going to take a punt and say that he's a New Zealander, as that's the flag next to his name. Lovely to have you with us in racing and doing really well in 8th place. So fingers crossed for you for the end of the race that you can maybe even push for a top 5, but if not, at least solidify a good top 10 slot within a couple of weeks of you returning to the club. Nice to have you back. On the back of that pack is Gordon Ramsay. He's in 9th place currently. And he'll be looking, just watching his pack, hoping for a mistake from those in front. And it seems somebody managed to lock their brakes. I think that might have been John Freeman. But kept it under control, didn't panic, and manages to retain a position. But what we can see is Kai is right behind Guy Leach, almost tripping over him coming out of that corner. He's going to shake up from the inside. Goes for a late braking move. He certainly got the stop.
And so is Dylan Shepherd up ahead of us, too.
Dylan Shepherd's also got Corey Lazarus. So watch that. That's the white and the yellow car that, as you can see in the split. There we go. Corey is now back on the inside of Dylan Shepherd, and there's damage on the front of Dylan Shepherd's car. When did that occur? See the front right of the car.
And interestingly, all the backs of the cars around him seem fine. So
dented in. So not sure what's happened there, or if it'll be affecting him. I doubt it'll be affecting him.
I don't think there's any Twinkies around here, because sometimes a little Twinkie curves can damage your car like that. Just get a little bad neck cone.
Oh, that's a wide from Shane Wright. That's going to put him under pressure for Corey Lazarus, as he has to sacrifice his mid-corner speed through here. But no, Corey not close enough to make the move. I think he'll be counted as lucky stars that Dylan made a move on Corey on that same lap, because otherwise I think Corey would have been right at the back of him. But saying that, I might expect too early, because Corey is pretty close here. Coming out of the final corner onto the straight. That's not a straight because there's a big right curve there, but it is flat out easy. Trust me. He's going to go for a move down the inside. Gets it done. Nice and easy. So, Shane deciding not to battle that too hard at all. Slots in behind Corey. Will he make a move down here into corner 4? Let's have a wait and see. No, just going to tuck him behind. I wonder if as soon as Corey got alongside, he thought, you know what, I could do with doing some fuel saving here. Or side by side there. Oh, all action there. So it looked like hardly going side by side through there. And then that's done the back down. And then you had one of Croydon or Freeman, I think, coming in all out of shape. Let's have a look what happened there before I associate names with things that they didn't do.
Guys all locked up.
All locked up, going down the inside, and then separately...
Guy Leach said his own little error.
Guy Leach has had his own little error, perhaps put off by the cars ahead, just having a little bit of a slide and managing to arrest it mid-corner and get back on his merry way. So, there's a bit of a change in the order, so we'll run you through the top 10 again. Matty Dench is in first, Lazarus is in second, Wright is in third, ahead of Dylan Shepherd. You then got Croydon and Freeman in 5th and 6th. They've moved up from 6th and 7th, I believe. You then got Gordon Ramsay in 7th, Kai Leach in 8th, so he's dropped down, as is Kai Ardley, who is now in 9th place at the back of that pack. You then got Rd-9 in 10th, who's 4 seconds behind, and in the open split, Snadden is still ahead of Smith, but it's not a big lead being under half a second. We're looking at Greg Paget here for Beam Bus Racing, just having a bit of a spin. Just wanted to see who was behind him. Yeah, no, okay, I'm safe. Cool, I'll get going again. No, I joke, of course, that was not deliberate. As we now watch Brett Barker lock up, you can see him trying to cadence brake, trying to get the wheel rotating again and not quite working, but probably doing too much front left tire.
cadence breaking in these things is very hard. Once you lock these things up, it's so hard.
It is
to get
really
it
hard. Yeah, it is. Once they're gone, they're gone. So he actually did well there. You saw it start to rotate a little bit, and then lock up again as he tried to slow it down to stop himself going too far. So I think he actually did a pretty good job there. It's just super difficult from these cars. We're now 35 minutes left of the race, so we're getting towards halfway. So of course that 30-minute is the magic marker where you're going to get home on one stop. I think all these will be doing one stop. Okay, or I think if you were going to do a two stopper, you will have committed to it by now. We've had a couple of spotters. We've had Stephen Gallagher. He's pitted, so he was in third place in the open split. He pitted a couple of laps ago on lap 14. So he's either doing a two-stop or going for a long second stint. Adam Tice and Brandon Sagassa are currently in the pits and towards the back of the pack. So this battle pack has just separated out a bit now with a few of those incidents. So you've got Corey Lazarus. He's pulled out 1.5 seconds on Shane Wright, so he's put the hammer down. He's decided to go. In fact, his last lap time, only a 10th behind Matty Dench in the lead of the race. Then Dylan Shepherd is right behind Shane Wright, and he's got Ben Croydon right behind him. There's a bit of a gap between Croydon and Freeman, so Croydon's managed to gap his teammate by 1.5 seconds. And we then got Freeman, who's under pressure from Ramsey, and Guy Leach, who is on your screen right now, who, as you can tell, there's nothing to choose between him and Kai. Him and Kai have been battling for a good couple of laps now, and Kai Ardley, manages to get the position back, and he is now up into 8th with Guy Leach at the back of what is effectively the lead pack in 9th place.
Also in the background, Rd-9 is slowly catching the screw.
He is. The gap to Jared Knight is down to 3 seconds. Jared Knight started in 20th. He's now in 10th, so he's up 10 positions. He's the biggest mover in the pack, so if he does catch up to this pack, look for him to try and slice his way through. He is a driver we have seen put in some impressive performances over the first 8 rounds of this season. Do not rule out another strong performance here tonight. Corey Lazarus, fastest man on track last lap, managing to outpace Matty Dench, who seems to have just taken his foot off the accelerator a little bit, possibly doing a bit more fuel saving now just to make sure he makes that 30-minute mark.
If you guys are in, I don't need to go, that could be tight.
Could be tight, so who's in? Croydon, Freeman, Ramsey, Kai Ardley, Jared Knight, basically the back end of that top 10 battle, all deciding to pit on the same lap. It's going to be who hits their markers most accurately, who goes past their pit lane, and who lost sight of their pit lane because of the cars ahead and hence mucked up a little bit. Let's have a look, see who leads out of these 5. An invisible pit crew race. I was like, Gordon Ramsay's going to make a couple of spots here.
No, he's on the outside though.
He's on the outside, had to yield there to Freeman on his inside. So Freeman still behind his teammate Croydon, which is as it was before the pit stops, if my memory serves me right. They've then got Gordon Ramsay, who's jumped Kai Ardley in the pit stops, and then Jared Knight only 2.5 seconds behind now, so I think he's gained a bit of time in those pit stops. Ramsay looking up the inside there, nothing happening. Of course, Gordon Ramsay running the distinctive Scottish livery.
There's a good chance these guys will win this lap, and then that's going to mean they're going to need a splash and dash at the end here.
Could do, or it just means they'll fuel save more in the second stint.
Well, it depends. Most of the, especially Denchi, would have tested beforehand whether he can make it or not.
I think Denchi's going to make it. Corey Lazarus pits. Let's have a look. Dylan Shepherd doesn't pit. Shane Wright pits. So Dylan Shepherd, who was in that battle for second place, he goes differently to Lazarus and Wright, who both pit.
It's still, even if they pit this next lap, they're still going to be still like a lap short.
It is going to be
close. It's going to be tight.
Incredibly tight. We might see some cars going very slow in the final lap just to try and make it to the end of the race. Of course, that's the exciting thing about a longer race. We have the opportunity for all these strategies to play out over the course of the hour, and we get to watch them unfold like a chess match throughout the race. And then, in the middle of that chess match, we have complete boxing brawls as drivers go side by side through the final corner. Of course, One of the cars there diving into pit, Andrew Smith not diving into pit because he's already pitted, so he's not going to pit again quite yet. So at the front, Matty Dench still leads, he's not pitted yet. Dylan Shepherd is in second place, he's not pitted. Lazarus did pit, he's come out third. Shane Wright loses the position to Ben Croydon. Shane Wright spending about a little bit longer in the pit stop than Ben Croydon and suffering for it, coming out in 5th place instead of 4th as we would have expected. So those that pitted early did get a bit of an advantage, and they've closed the gap down to Shane Wright. Corey Lazarus still 2 seconds ahead of Ben Croydon, so Corey Lazarus seems to have escaped that fate, but they've managed to reel Shane Wright back into this battle, which now stretches from 4th place down to 9th place. Matty Dench now in the pit, now exiting the pits. Dylan Shepherd keeps going by the looks of it, because Matty Dench has popped out of the pit 5 seconds behind Dylan Shepherd. So Dylan Shepherd going the longest of all our runners, longer than Matty Dench, which he's probably been able to do because he was in traffic. We saw Matty Dench break away immediately, go off on his own, get no help from traffic. Whereas Dylan Shepherd sat in that battle pack for quite a while and looks like he's getting the rewards in terms of fuel. So this could give him an advantage that is crucial in the race for second place. We'll have to wait and see where he comes out when he pits and what he can do with that bit of extra fuel that he's going to have over the cars around him. Jared Knight not continuing his charge to this battle pack quite yet. Came out of the pits about 2.5 seconds behind, and the gap has remained constant so far. We'll look for that gap to reduce on that tower in the left of your screen. And then Snadden is now in a battle with Gallagher for the lead of the open split, and Paul Wilson has dropped away. Not sure what's happened to Paul, but he's ended up a good 4 seconds behind Gallagher, whereas before Gallagher was behind, and the reason Gallagher's cut off is because he pitted earlier. So he pitted lap 14, and we have seen that pitting early does tend to give you an advantage. The undercut doesn't work here. The undercut, of course, is when you pit before the cars ahead, and you come out on nice fresh tyres, and you can go faster. You've got better lap time, so by the time they pit, you've made some of the gap. Snadden's already come back, mate. Snadden's in. He's in 13th place. He's putting the pressure on Matt Stewart for 12th place. Snadden's in the lead of the open split currently, and he is putting pressure on some of the big boys in the elite split. And I dare say, with the pace he's showing, we might see Snadden next season, perhaps in the open split, in the elite split. Of course, the decisions on who will move splits will be made this season. And it's based off your average pace. We're just watching battle pack here, which is Andrew Smith, Matt Stewart, and Dane Snadden. So Snadden is in the open split. He's at the back of this pack, leading the open split and putting pressure on Stewart and Smith ahead. Stewart and Smith, they're in a live race. They're both in the same split. Snadden can afford to sit behind these guys, but only if they are not slowing him down, and only if he cares more about the open split than he does about his overall position. Andrew Smith just going a bit wide there, but he won't lose too much time. And I think he'd have to have gone wider than that to get a slowdown penalty. So everyone's made their pit stop now. Dylan Shepherd, we saw him pit later. He pitted on lap 20, so he went at least 2 laps longer than the cars around them and 3 laps longer than most of them. He's come out just behind John O'Freeman and right behind them. There is a delay with the comments. Okay, I'll give you a break. But thanks for your comments and thanks for your interaction. And that goes to anybody else that has commented, interacted tonight, anybody else that is watching. It's a pleasure to bring you these streams. Whether you're watching live or whether you're watching on the replay, perhaps after taking part in the races, thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure to bring you these. Sorry, just pausing while we watch John O'Freeman and Dylan Shepherd going side by side. Shepherd managing to get the position off Freeman, but will Freeman come back at him in corner 4? He might just go down the inside. No, Shepherd makes to move, go down the inside, notices the lap traffic, comes back ahead of Freeman on the outside, and instead the lap traffic acting as a deterrent there to make sure nobody made a move down the inside. And next on Shepard's hit list is Shane Wright.
So he's sitting with Shepard. He pitted even later than Denchi.
He did.
So
he did pit later than Denchi.
There's a chance now that if he saved the fuel in the first stint, he can now go flat chat in his last stint and make it home.
Yes, there is a chance, but I think Denchi's already got a pit stop advantage.
And I just checked my calculations. Like the pit fuel I gave them was only based on 25 minutes of fuel, so they've found a reservoir somewhere.
Well, he was running in traffic throughout that whole of the first stint. So if he's running in traffic and fuel saving, that might explain the difference between him and Denchi, who didn't have the advantage of running in the pack. But I think pretty much everyone's done a decent amount of fuel saving.
Yeah, but to save 3 laps of fuel, that's a lot of fuel to save.
It is a lot of fuel. It is a hell of a lot of fuel. It takes a lot of discipline to save that much fuel. I think the interesting driver to watch is going to be Stephen Gallagher. So Stephen Gallagher, he looks like the one that didn't do fuel saving. He pitted on lap 14, whereas the vast majority of the grid pitted on lap 17 or 18. So Stephen Gallagher, he's out of sync with most of us, so he's definitely going to do a second stop, and he'll do a second stop fairly early. So just be interested to see if that works this week.
We got Karen.
That's Greg Paget, having gone quite far off the track, flipped the car, and eventually landed on all 4 wheels again. I dare say that car's not going to be any good after that. Let's have a look what happened.
What's down jumping behind him? Let me say a little touch.
They had a little bit of touch, set onto the grass on the inside, and Paget then going away to the outside. Yeah, it's really hard. Lap traffic, not able to get out of the way there, and Dylan Shepard just tripping over the lap traffic. So look, so Greg Paget has let the slow and slow out car through here. Shepard's quite far behind there, going into the corner where they touch. Just so much more speed, not knowing where to go, and a slight touch. I think you see Paget thought he was far enough ahead to get past that corner and then let him through on the straight. And then Shepard had so much more speed into corner 3 that he quickly caught Paget, wasn't sure what to do, and ended up perhaps with a bit of the target fixation that I spoke about in the first part of the stream for the Toyota GR86s and just tapping him in the back. You can see towards the end he's trying to drift that wide and try to go wider than Paget, where he just does it a bit too late and touches him in the back. Really difficult. It's really difficult when you come across a car and the speed difference is such that... touch there, Gordon Ramsay and Jono Freeman. Jono Freeman's been biffed off track by Ramsay there. A small touch to the rear corner has put Freeman off. Ramsay gets going again. I think it looked like he was pausing to maybe redress the position, and he has redressed the position to Jono Freeman. That's good to see from Ramsay after he was definitely at fault for that collision. And that's to put them back down the order, so they would join in 9th and 10th place after running higher than that. Of course, they were in, I think, 5th and 6th. And Freeman having another spin. Probably the result of warm tyres and being a bit rattled from the earlier incidents do tend to bring more incidents. So let's look what happened there. So Ramsay, he's just outbroked him. Looks like he sort of outbroke himself. Was carrying too much speed, realised that if he didn't do something he was going to hit the back of Freeman, tried to dive down the inside, sort of forced himself into an overtaking attempt because of the late break, tapped Jono Freeman and didn't know he was there. But at least did attempt to address it. Oh, and then there was a collision there between Freeman and another driver, by the looks of it. So this is Guy Leach and Freeman.
Oh, guys just moved over a little bit in the brakes, trying to get the corner and misjudged that.
Yeah, Freeman would not be happy. He's been knocked off track twice in the space of a few corners. Guy Leach there, defending the inside, looking to move back to the outside to take the optimal racing line. Paul's there, Freeman's there. Just moves over a bit too much, doesn't leave Freeman enough space, and they touch in the braking zone, which when you touch in the braking zone, it really unsettles the car, and that's what's caused Freeman to go off. Had that that same degree of touch happened on a straight, they probably would have been fine, but because they were on the brakes, it's much worse. And then we're just watching now, Dylan Shepard, he's got past Shane Wright, so these two were battling for second early in the race. They're currently in 4th and 5th, but Dylan Shepard is running a different strategy in fuel. Yes, it's only a couple of laps different, but we think it might be enough that he does not have to do a splash and dash at the end of the race, as we suspect many of these drivers will have to do. So this is crucial for Shepherd. If he wants any chance of getting close to Matty Dench at the end of the race, it relies on two things. Not getting held up, which means getting through these cars as fast as he can, and then hoping that Matty Dench has to do a splash and dash and loses sufficient time that he's able to come out ahead, is Andrew Smith. So Andrew Smith now, he's got past Shane Wright, and next on his hit list is Ben Croydon. Ben Croydon having a fantastic race, running in 3rd place. Was running with his teammate for quite a while, has managed to break through his teammate in just before the stops and continued after the stops and get ahead of the likes of Shepherd and Croydon. And, Wright. Really, it was only Corey Lazarus that managed to maintain his position over Ben Croydon through the stops. So he's done a fantastic job there. Pitting on lap 17. It's not like he used an offset either. It's just genuine pace from Croydon that's got him into 3rd place. And clean racing. Andrew Smith looks like he's just made sure that position. It did look like Shane Wright might be able to come back at him, but not through here. He's a bit too far back, and I don't think we're going to see him move in at corner 3. We're now cutting to Andrew Smith, who's got Jono Freeman and Gordon Ramsay behind him. They're going to resume hostilities. I'm sure Ramsay will be careful making a move to the first corner. He's not going to want to hit Freeman again, and indeed doesn't make a move here, despite being very close to him at the end of the straight. He will look to make sure it is clean. Are you a fan? I think we might have a Snadden fan in the audience. Snadden is absolutely killing it. He is in 12th place, leading the open split. He is pulled away from Gallagher, so he's leading it quite comfortably now by about 3 seconds. And Gallagher has got Wilson 10 seconds behind him, so I'm not sure what's happened to Wilson, but he has fallen off the back of Gallagher and Snadden. So it looks like it is a 2-horse race for the win in the Open Championship, and Snadden is currently leading that race. But Gallagher is doing an alternate strategy, so it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. Or whether that drops him towards Wilson, or whether it gives him the advantage against Snadden. We've got Jono Freeman here, lunging up the inside of Andrew Smith. Nice move, manages to take the racing line from the next corner. You just saw Gordon Ramsay carrying a bit more speed at the entry there, and then braking mid-corner to scrub speed off. I thought Smith might go for the late dive there on Freeman, deciding better of it, which is good racing, clever racing. Instead they'll follow him and use him to break the air as they go up the hill after this final left-hander. There it is, that's effectively the last corner of the track. Everything else is flat from here. Is that you offering to sponsor them? Or has Snadden got a team that is eyeing up? Not sure who Burson or Autopots are, but sure, I'll get on board. Certainly Snadden's driving very well and deserves a sponsor. I certainly agree with the sentiment there. Not that I know anything about the sponsor, as Andrew Smith becomes the second driver to pit for the second time after Alan Dawson, who has also pitted twice. Alan Dawson pitted on lap 25, Andrew Smith pitting on lap 27. Which will comfortably get him to the end.
I'm not sure what's having the Pedersen this race. He's normally up the front. He's having a bit of a... obviously not gelling with the track tonight, having a bit of a shocker.
He really is. Interlagos, very, very difficult track, very technical track. I could definitely see how a really good driver like Ben Pedersen, who we've seen challenging for top five, or even challenging for the podium on a few occasions this season, struggle because so many long corners.
It's interesting. I think Dane's like looking at letting these guys go because they're elite guys, but Gallagher's right there now.
Yeah, he's playing it safe.
He's got Gallagher right behind him though.
He does not want to get involved in an incident because he's racing these guys. Boy, it's awkward because he's got more pace than them. He's certainly got at least the same pace, so he's trying to let them go so he doesn't get involved in an incident. He's saying, just let me run my Open Championship race. Please don't hit me while you're trying to get past me or while we're racing or something silly. But what it's done in letting these cars past is it's letting Gallagher catch right back up. The gap was 3 seconds. It's now back down to 6/10. And that's going to be a problem because if he pulls ahead of these guys, like if he lets them get ahead, he's going to have Gallagher riding his tail and Wilson's 10 seconds back. But let's say, for instance, that Wilson's still in the lane. And he's going to... I'm not sure what the thinking is here. I think you're better off just to go with them. Just go with them and use the pace.
Depends if he was out of fuel though, because he pitted a little earlier, didn't he?
True. So we've seen Freeman and Gallagher both pit. Gallagher pitted earlier than everybody else. So there's no surprise Gallagher in. Freeman pitted with everybody else, didn't pit out of sequence, so it's a bit surprising to see him in so early, perhaps deciding that he's seen the undercut work and is going to try and make an undercut work, particularly as he had a few incidents and he's a bit out of position and maybe thinking, I might drop into free air and that way people will stop hitting me off the track. A nice bit of GSRC sponsorship on the car ahead. On the right hand side, we'll focus on the right hand side of the car ahead. Andrew Smith, currently in 14th place, that's Paul Wilson, the car ahead. Paul Wilson is third in the open split. 10 seconds behind the leader, Snadden.
Interesting tactics by Paul Wilson.
Yes, interesting tactics, I agree. Andrew Smith gets past Paul Wilson there. I think Paul Wilson trying to perhaps distract some of the other drivers with a interesting livery. But no such distraction for Andrew Smith. He's racing cars. He doesn't care about pretty ladies right now. He cares about going as fast as he can around this track. As do all of these drivers, including Dylan Shepherd. Dylan Shepherd fighting off Jared Knight. We saw Jared Knight earlier. We saw him getting into the fringe of the top 10. We've missed a few overtakes because he's now in 4th place. And, Kai's going to try and go the inside. Dylan Shepherd has to go off track to avoid contact. A tiny bit naughty there from Kai. Robust. We'll call it robust from Kai there. Not giving Shepherd much space, but it is very safe out there. You're not really punished for going wide. And now he's looked like he's going to make a move up the inside of Jared Knight. Jared Knight managing to defend. So Jared Knight and Kai, both with a lot of pace at this stage of the race. And Dylan Shepherd just falling back. I expected to see Dylan march up to the back of Croydon, but he's not done that. Perhaps realising that he's got to do a bit more fuel saving if he's going to make a one-stop strategy work here tonight.
I wonder if he had a slow down or something, because it seemed to have lost a time. That's what times they come across.
Or perhaps just gone a bit out of shape somewhere. So we've got Matty Dench in the lead. Corey Lazarus 28 seconds behind with the same amount of pit stops. Ben Croydon in 3rd place. Jared Knight in 4th after starting in 20th position. And then Kai Ardley in 5th place. Dylan Shepherd in 6th and Shane Wright in 7th.
Yeah, Shepherd lost 3.3 seconds that last lap, so something's happened there.
So yeah, a lot of time lost there. Possibly a slowdown. Possibly just getting out of shape, running off track, something like that. Thanks for your, thank you very much for the compliments. Yes, thank you. Don't know what to say to that. We now got Kai in 5th place, running proudly the New Zealand Silver Fern, who's having a strong race. He's up 3 positions before he started. Started in 8th. We've seen him getting into a few dices. We found out thanks to Adam in the producer box, who let us know that he's back to the club after a hiatus, and he's been back for a couple of weeks, and he's having a very strong race here. But if he wants to hold on to 5th place, he's going to have to keep a very fast Dylan Shepherd behind, who is running, we believe, potentially the only person on a one-stop strategy. Although I dare say if Matty Dench wants to make it to the end, he can, because he's got 30 seconds to spend fuel saving, should he so wish to do so. But why would he? Because 30 seconds is probably enough for a pit stop, based on the pit times, which have been around 16 seconds. So we're now watching Dylan Shepherd try and get past Kai Ardley. He's going to go around. Oh, Kai Ardley's dived into the pits. So here we go. He's going to be one of the first of this leading group of 10 cars, which really is a leading group of 7 cars because of the incident between Ramsey and Leach that we saw earlier. And of course Freeman also getting caught up in incidents, so he dropped out of that top 10. Thanks, Grill. Yes, the production quality is all down to the hard work of Adam Lavis, who is behind the scenes using all sorts of trickery and what I consider to be magic to bring you a high level of production quality. All the graphics, all of the camera decisions, they are all down to his magnificent work. Really bringing the broadcast to life. And now we've got a lovely shot there as we see Jono Freeman zooming off the track, going very, very wide and hitting the wall, managing to get back on track. doesn't look like he's got a heap of damage. It didn't sound great. Certainly sounded a bit rough, but looking here, let's have a look. As he comes past, no. Not much damage, but I tell you what, I hit the wall with some force, didn't he? Let's have a look what's happened here. So he was on the outside.
Right.
He's up on the curbs.
Lots of locking up and brakes.
Yeah, lots of locking up. Getting off the brakes to try and not wreck the tyres. Oh, so it wasn't too hard in the end. He managed to get it, hit it side on.
And it's tyre wall too, which are a little bit more forgiving around it.
Tyre wall. So I think he's done a really good job to mitigate that impact and reduce it as much as he can before he made impact. And let's face it, he's not running where he wanted to be anyway because of a few incidents earlier on in the race. So he's down 10 positions from his starting spot. He started in 7th. He's now in 17th. But he's done all he can. Thankfully, his teammate Ben Croydon having a phenomenal race. He's in 3rd place and really bringing it home for the team if he can hold on to that. Although he's got a very fast charging Jared Knight right behind him. We're now looking at Ben Pedersen. Ben Pedersen's a driver we're used to seeing a bit further up the field. Just not gelling with this track or something. But he's currently in 11th place, looking to try and at least rescue a top 10. But to do that, he's going to have to get past Guy Leach. Guy Leach is in the blue car. Ben Pedersen's in the green car with those magnificent teeth on the front. And repping PGA Australia. Definitely looks like he's got more pace than Guy Leach ahead. Look at him. He is right behind him coming out of that long downhill to apex left-hander. You now got this uphill double apex right-hander. You want to go as wide as you can here to really open up this next corner. So they're getting all over the curb. Best line is over the curb on the inside corner as well. That's why it's all black there. Because of the amount of tyres that have run over that through the years, just basically dyeing those curbs black, all the rubber being laid down through here as well, as wide as you dare to get without touching the grass, and then bringing it back over to the right immediately after the corner to open up this left-hander, which I believe is flat in these cars. I may be wrong, I didn't have time to run them before the stream tonight. And then look how wide they get there. Basically all outside of that white line, all over that weird rumble strip to open up this last corner because you are flat out from there all the way up this hill. And Pedersen having to get out of the throttle there to avoid the back of the car ahead, Guy Leach. I think with a little bit more forethought, he might be able to carry that speed and go around the outside, decided not to. But it's not going to matter because he's got the slipstream, and that's going to give him an overspeed going into the first corner. He's going to brake it a little bit later. Guy Leach is going to try and hang on around the outside because this left-hander becomes a right-hander for corner 2. Oh no, Guy Leach going too wide, getting out of shape, having to really get out of it.
Oh, Gordon Ramsay off as well.
And Gordon Ramsay's off as well in the background. I tell you what, your eyes are phenomenal. And it looks like there's also potentially going to be a move there between Guy Leach and Dane Snadden. So Dane Snadden, leader of the open split, deciding better of it. Oh no!
It could be.
Guy Leach goes wide.
I was saying earlier about the tyres. I reckon some of these guys have some tyre struggles.
Could very well be, particularly if you've had a couple of incidents throughout the race that might just push your tyres over the edge.
It's not just that with iRacing, the thing that kills your tyres the most is the lockups. The little lockups will just take the percentage out of your tyres, and once you get below 30%, it's a bit of a gamble.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think you've absolutely called that correct. Interestingly, Pi Ardley has made his second pit stop. He came out 7th in the end. We saw him when he moved into the pits. Oh, Croydon's in. He is the first of our lead group to get into the pits. He was in 3rd place. He has pitted. He's going to come out no better than 7th, but has Kai, by pitting early, been able to undercut those ahead of him.
And I'm not sure how much fuel saving Denchi's doing, because the last lap by he did a 33.8.
I dare say not much.
Everyone else is in the 35s and 36s.
Yeah, Matty Dench in a league of his own. He is. I'm sorry, Dan. Look, I'm being won over by your cheering for Snadden, and seeing you cheering for Snadden so much does make me wish Snadden well, but I don't think he's the best driver on track. I think that might be Matty Dench. It's controversial, I know. It's controversial.
Snadden's in the lane. Has any of the open guys managed to do a one-stop here to pip him?
I would be surprised if anyone who's done it is Paul Wilson, because Paul Wilson's also in the pit. What's going to be interesting to see is, will that early stop from Gallagher, we saw him going for the undercut, will he get back out ahead of Dane? No, Dane Snadden has come out ahead of everybody else in the open split. So he's retained the lead of the open split, and he's got a free path to the end of the race. He's at 9.6 seconds ahead of Andrew Smith in 12th. Of course, some other cars are yet to pit, which might put them in front of him. But if he can keep it clean, he should win the open split from here, because Stephen Gallagher is a few cars behind and about 5 seconds behind, despite his earlier pit stop, which was sure working wonders early and brought him into that race for the lead of the open split. Now looking at Kai Ardley, so he's in 8th place. Ben Croydon, after his pit stop, he came out in 6th ahead of Matt Stewart, and with quite a bit of open track, 14 seconds of nice black asphalt with no cars on it ahead of him. Jaron Knight is now pitted, so he's going to become the second driver in that lead group to go for the pit. Kai Ardley was mixing up in that lead group, but he was running a bit out of sync with the pit stops. So Shane Wright, he's quite ahead of Ben Croydon by the looks of it by 3.7 seconds, but will Ben be able to make that gap? And he's done that because he had much less pit time. He was only stopped for 5 seconds, whereas Ben Croydon was stopped for 6.2. So that's part of what's helped Jaron Knight get out comfortably ahead of Ben Croydon. So whether that's better positioning in the pit box, or it could be due to better fuel management. To wait and see. Yes, Dan, I will agree. Snedden is absolutely killing it in the Open Championship tonight. He's been pretty much in a class of his own. Once you take out the factors for the pit stops, he's comfortably 5 seconds ahead of Stephen Gallagher and about 20 ahead of Paul Wilson, who are his main challenges here tonight. So he's running an absolutely fabulous race. We now got Ben Pedersen. He's trying to get past Kyle Ardley. So Ben Pedersen recovering well. Except he's got another pit, I imagine, unless he's going to go for one stopper. Only a few laps remaining.
Guy Leach picking up pockets.
Oh! So what happened there, what we've just seen, is we've just seen Kai Ardley get out of shape, having to get out of the throttle. Ben Pedersen going one side, Guy Leach going the other. I think you saw Guy get a bit spooked by Kai on his left, and then move over into Ben Pedersen on his right, who was nudged off track. So let's have a look at the replay here. So Kai locks up, so he's slow for that corner. Oh, Ben then gives him a little bit of a nudge, and then yeah, he's just shaping up for the next corner, not realising that he's got Ben still alongside him and Ben going off track, and I think Ben might be retiring for the night because it's still saying he is off track and he's had plenty of time to get back on track now as Guy Leach goes into the pits. They did have, if you were in the elite split, you had one fast repair here tonight, and if you were in the open split, you had two. So fast repair.
It's all got the same.
It's all the same, so it's all one.
Yeah, you can't give different people different fast repairs within the same server.
Okay, so it's all one fast repair?
Yeah, I believe so.
Alright,
it might be two, but I think it's one.
All at least one. We'll say at least one. All at least one fast repair here tonight.
It's probably one because we're using the elite split server, so.
Yeah, probably one. But what that means is you get one free do-over, you get to pit once and have your damage repaired instantly. So for many people, if they picked up damage, they'll then dive in, use it as a fuel stop, get the damage repaired. Yes, it might compromise the strategy from optimal, but hopefully it means you don't need an extra pit to get to the end of the race if you do pick up a bit of damage because of an unlucky incident, and you can still put in a good recovery.
Here's Denchi with a slight lead.
Just the 40-second lead. Just half a lap ahead of everybody else. So he's under a lot of pressure here tonight. He's had to really fight hard for this one. No, Matty Dench has been absolutely imperious. He is the model driver in this series. He is the driver that everybody in this series will aspire to be at some point. What every driver needs to remember, they're not as fast as Matty Dench now, but it doesn't mean they're not as fast as Matty Dench in the future. And that's what they've all got to work towards, because he is setting an absolute marker here tonight, as he has done throughout the series, but I think this might be his most dominant performance yet. It's a track he said he was looking forward to, and we know why, because he is absolutely phenomenal around here, as is evidenced by the fact that he has overlapped the vast majority, or will overlap the vast majority of drivers. So as you can see, that is 12th place Alan Dawson on your screen, and he's got right behind him Matty Dench. And I dare say Matt Dench is going to get these two before the end of the race, which we're rapidly coming towards with only 40 seconds left. So they will come round and then they'll go around one last time. Currently it's Matty Dench in first, Lazarus in second, Shepard in third, Shane Wright in fourth. Corey Lazarus is pitting. As we suspected, a few of the drivers are going to have to do a splash and dash just to get through the last lap.
And a lot of these guys, because Denchi crossed the line with only a few seconds on the clock, so he's snuck an extra lap in, which has caught a lot of these guys out.
So Corey Lazarus and Shane Wright both have to pit. That's going to give Dylan Shepard second place in this race. Jared Knight has already done his second pit stop, so it's a question now, will Corey and Shane come out ahead of him? Jared Knight gets both of them. So Jared Knight, after starting 20th, looks like he's going to get on the podium after stopping a little early. Corey Lazarus just comes out of the pit. He's going to come out ahead of Ben Croydon. And Shane Wright is going to lose out even more. He's going to come out behind Ben Croydon. So the order is now Dench, of course, in the lead. Then Shepard, the only other driver to do one stop in that lead battle pack. And then got Jared Knight in third. Croydon just gets past Lazarus. Croydon's overtaken Lazarus for fourth place. So we see Matty Dench cross the line now. There he is, takes an easy win, and now we wait for 47 seconds for the next driver to finish in the lead lap. Brett Barker, the first driver to finish with a lap down. So Brett Barker locks in 13th, Stephen Gallagher locks in 14th. That means Dane Stanton, even though he hasn't finished, is effectively the winner of the open split because there's no other open split cars that are on the lead lap, which is a phenomenal effort to finish on the lead lap with Matty Dench in such form. That's incredible. Hopefully we see Snadden working his stuff again next season and perhaps even in the elite split. Got Corey Lazarus here. He's in a battle with Ben Croydon. Going to go down the inside there because Croydon's locked his brakes. Really struggling with the tyres this late on. Those tyres are going to be absolutely horrible at this point. Tell you who's not struggling, Dylan Shepard. He's drove a fantastic race. We saw him earlier on. He went for a different strategy and it's really paid off for him, only doing one stop just like Matty Dench and taking in the end, a comfortable second place by 12 seconds. That's what it was worth, doing only one stop. Jared Knight, incredible recovery, comes from 20th to 3rd. Love to know what he could have done had he started towards the front of the pack. Ben Croydon and Corey Lazarus. Corey Lazarus finishes 4th, Ben Croydon in 5th, and then Shane Wright brings home 6th after running in the podium spots for much of the race, just being undone by strategy towards the end. We're now watching Dane Snadden as he takes a well-deserved victory in the open class. Absolutely without equal, finished 6 seconds ahead of Gallagher, 24 seconds ahead of Wilson, his two rivals for the title, and that puts him in the pole position going into the final round of the championship. Congratulations, Dane, great race, and very vocal support in the comments. So these are your final race results for the Elite Cup. Matty Dench takes home the victory by a whopping 58 seconds. Jared Knight finishes 2nd with Lazarus in 3rd place, rounding out the podium. You then got Croydon in 4th and Wright in 5th. Ardley finishes in 6th place with Smith behind him. Dylan Shepard in 8th place, which means Dylan Shepard's got a penalty. Dylan Shepard must have got a penalty because he finished in 2nd place.
Possibly.
We'll investigate that, but as far as we can tell, Dylan Shepard finishing in 8th place must have picked up a penalty.
Maybe an R-racing penalty of some sort.
Stewart in 9th, Ramsey in 10th place. And then you've got Dawson in 11th, Barker in 12th, Freeman in 13th, Guy Leach in 14th after both were running strongly early on. Guy Leach in 14th, Ben Pedersen in 15th, Sagasa in 16th, and Lawrence in 17th. Neither Sagasa nor Lawrence finishing the race, so they got no points. And then these are your results in the open split. Snadden takes a well-deserved victory with Gallagher in 2nd and Paul Wilson in 3rd place. Then had Brett Bradbury in 4th place, Dan Wren in 5th place, and Adam Tyson 6th place, making it 4th, 5th, 6th for Bean Boss Racing. Ladder finishes in 7th, Heinrich in 8th, Plonus in 9th, Newens in 10th, and he is the last of those scoring points with Paget and McGrath both being unclassified. There you go. That's it. That's the penultimate round of the Porsche Cup. Some good racing out there. A lot of battles in the end, as we suspected. It all sort of kicked off after that first round of stops. And we're just going to watch a replay of the start of the race here for you right now, whilst we wait for some of the drivers to join us in the broadcast room for a bit of a chat. I think the race was decided at this first corner. As soon as Matty Dench held on to the lead, look at the leaders already got there. He was just absolutely in another league. It looked like he was racing a different car to everybody else. Such was the speed difference. Basically, he was racing the Red Bull of this season, and everybody else was in one of the other F1 cars. That was what it kind of reminded me of. A bit of bad luck for some of the drivers. So call out Guy Freeman was having a really good race before he got caught up in incidents. Gordon Ramsay was also having a good race before some incidents. So there will be a few drivers out there wondering what could have been. Andrew Smith, he had I forgot about that early spin, but he recovered quite well in the end. So there's been a lot of drivers wondering what if I'd had a clean race, because Andrew Smith finished 8th in the end, so perhaps he could have been in that battle for the podium positions without that spin at the beginning. Brett Barker there going for a spin. So quite a few incidents in those early laps. Then it calmed down a bit for the next sort of 20 minutes. And then from the first pit stop, we sort of got action again. A few drivers getting unstuck with the tyres, or just not getting the lines quite right. I've now been joined by Jaron Knight. Not sure if you know about this, but I think you finished in 2nd place.
Yeah, saw all of that after I crossed the line. I was banking on Dylan coughing in that last lap, but he did well to save fuel. But yeah, obviously some incident points throughout the race killed him, as well as the penalty that he got a little bit earlier. So yeah, 20th to 2nd. Collie was a bit to be desired again, but yeah, certainly had the race pace.
Yeah, what happened in qualifying? Because you qualified in 20th and finished in 3rd, which then became 2nd. So evidently your race pace was fantastic. Would have been nice to have you up there the whole time, although watching you come through was good fun. Yeah, what happened? Did you just not get the lap together, or?
Yeah, I generally sort of take a couple of laps to warm the tyres up in the Porsche. Yeah, it's never good on the first lap, and I sort of just push a little bit harder on the second, and then go full bickies in on the 3rd one, and yeah, just caught a bit of traffic on the first run, and yeah, just couldn't put a lap together. So
yeah, so it's a risky run with that strategy, and it just didn't work out for you this time.
Yeah, it's big field, reasonably short lap. So yeah, just a miscalculation on my end, but yeah, I guess all's well as ends well.
At least you got to have some good fun coming through the pack, right?
Yeah, no, there's a couple of good battles on the way through there. I was a little bit annoyed with myself with the early move into turn 1. Saw me go across the grass, but that might have meant the difference between being a little bit closer to Dylan when he crossed the line, but evidently it didn't matter.
Yeah, speaking of which, we'll just cross to Dylan now because he's joined us in the broadcasting booth. Dylan, what happened? You finished in 2nd, but then it told us you finished in 8th.
Yeah, I got my last incident point on the last lap. The lap car ran off in front at turn 1 and 2, and didn't think he was going to come back on track, and he did. So to avoid him, I had to take the grass on the inside, and that gave me my last incident point. So yeah, hugely frustrating after what a bloody good drive I thought I had with the fuel strat.
Yeah, one of only 2 drivers to do the one stop and really make it work. The other, of course, being Matty Dench, who we'll talk to in just a minute. So yeah, he finished a comfortable, I think, 12 seconds ahead at the line, but being undone by the incidence points. So did those incidence points accumulate on accident throughout the race, or were any of them sort of a bit deliberate, thinking it wasn't going to matter because you had them to spare?
Honestly, my off tracks, looking at them, I think I've got like 2 or 3 of them, but there was a 4X when both Lazarus and I were fuel saving, and we were next to each other, and he braked a bit early. Braked it where you would fuel saving, and I kind of misjudged it and just tapped him. Nothing came out of it, but it just gave me a 4X. And I think I got like 6X from a lap car earlier on. He let a car go on the main straight, and then when I had a massive run on him through turn 3, and he was going like 40 k's an hour slower than at the corner speed, and just stayed on the inside line, and I got him as well. So it was literally all pure accidentally. Like I think in the first half hour, I think I got 2 off tracks, and then in the whole last 20 minutes, I was sitting on that 16 and did 20 minutes without an off track just for it to all come undone on the last lap.
Oh, that's absolutely gutting. So definitely bad luck at play there. But at least your pace was promising. You managed to fuel save and be one of only 2 cars that got to the end on 1 stop. So that's all promising. Although that fuel saving is not going to help you much next round because we've got 3 sprint races in the final round.
Yeah, I just sat back and did the calculations before it, and I got it to pretty much a minute I needed to get to. I was like, if I can get to this time with a massive fuel save in the first stint, I could pretty much do the whole second stint without fuel saving at all. So I was just sitting behind Lazarus and Shane through the first stint, and even when there was a fight starting, I was just trying to hang back and save as much fuel as possible. And I mean, it worked because in that second stint, I could literally just drive as hard as I want. But yeah, looking forward to the next round. I was hoping to kind of catch up to Shane in the championship, but hopefully I can just secure 3rd at this rate.
Yeah, we'll keep your fingers crossed for you. Do you prefer the endurance rounds like this, where there's a bit more strategy, or do you prefer just an out-and-out sprint like you're going to get in the final round?
I prefer a sprint. Like, the first half hour for me, literally just felt like I was driving under safety car for half an hour. Like, I was just follow the leader, and nothing interesting's really happening. But I mean, that's just racing. Like, by the last half hour, it turns into, you know, what's going on here, and that's when it gets interesting. But I probably prefer the sprint, but I think the Enduros definitely have their place.
Yeah, well, great to hear from you. Bad luck for losing those positions due to the final off track, but hopefully better luck next round, and maybe, just maybe, you can pick up a few podiums in the last 3 races that we're bringing to you in that one final round.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
And now we'll cross over to the runaway championship leader and the runaway victor here tonight. Matty Dench, congratulations on another victory.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Absolute domination. I think this might be the most dominating victory of the season so far. How did you do it?
I don't know, honestly. At the start of practice, I shared the setup that I was using for the race, and hoping that I'd actually have a nice race with someone, and yeah, we just sort of ran away with it.
Yeah, no one could keep up with you today. Although I dare say, if anyone was going to give you a run for your money, it might have been Rd-9 had qualifying just come together for him because he had some pretty good pace coming through the pack to finish 2nd in the end. On the plus side, next week, 3 sprint races, 3 times the jeopardy, 3 opening laps to get through, 3 chances for someone to beat you. And they don't have to go as fast as you for quite as long. So, is it going to happen, or are you determined to make sure that doesn't happen in the last 3 races?
I mean, if we can get out front and keep everyone behind, we'll try to. But if push comes to shove and it gets pretty racy, we'll just go conservative and not battle too hard, I think. And
will you share your setup again?
Yeah, I reckon so.
So there's a risk it might have had the opposite effect here tonight, because I think you share your setup and then it becomes the most dominant victory. We'll have to find out if anybody did end up using it in the end. But hopefully, if they know it's coming, maybe next week. If they didn't use it this week, they'll all use it and see if they can go as fast as you.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same setup I used the whole season, just 1 or 2 clicks on the rear ARB. That's the only thing I've been changing.
Well, excellent. Well, it's good to speak to you again. Congratulations once again. We're just going to bring Dane Snadden into the chat to have a chat to him. There we go. Hello, Dane. We've now got both victors in the booth with us. We've got Matty Dench, the victor of the Elite Championship, and Dane Snadden, who was the victor of the Open Championship. Dane, how was that for you? It looked like you were going to have a bit of challenge at the start of the race from Wilson and Gallagher, but after a mistake, you recovered, got past them, and then it looked comfortable in the end. Still can't hear you, Dane. Alright, Dane, just chime in when you've got it under control. We'll just talk to Matty Dench for a little while until you get that working. So, Matty Dench, how is your other championship going?
Yeah, GT3 is going pretty well. It was a bit tough at Spa, but yeah, we cleaned up as many points as we could. So yeah, it's going pretty well. We've got maximum points in this race as well. So
Yeah, it can't go much better really than getting maximum points in multiple races. Turns a perfect race into a perfect week.
yeah, just those bonus points they add up over the season. Like quite a good chunk of points they have.
Yeah, they really do. I don't see anyone catching you in the Porsche Championship, given the frankly ridiculous lead that you've got in that championship. Although there is a fantastic fight for second going on. And we'll just try again. Dane, have we got you this time?
Yes, we do, mate. Can you hear me?
Excellent, we can hear you. Congratulations on winning your split. Really strong race. So as I said, started off looking like you had fire in your hands with Gallagher and Wilson. We saw you make that mistake and end up back in third, fight your way back to the front, and then it seemed comfortable from there.
Yeah, it's never comfortable at Interlagos. That's one hell of a track, that one. But no, yeah, a few mistakes, but did what I needed to do tonight and beat Steve and whoever else is in first place. So I've got to catch up. I think I'm about 30 points behind those guys. So
Paul Wilson,
thank you very kindly. Sorry, it's been a long day, but yeah, no, it's good result. Hopefully, last race of the season, we can take another W and bring home the Open Championship.
Yeah, so Paul finished third in the end. So this result sets it all up very nicely for a mouth-watering finale in the final round next week, where it's 3 sprint races. Is that going to help you, or is that going to hinder you? Do you prefer the sprint races, or do you prefer the longer races?
No, not really. I like all, mate. Any type of sprint, endurance, I like it all. So it doesn't really matter what it is, mate. We just get out, hit my numbers as I like to do, and yeah, that's it.
Excellent. Any time to go fast is a good time, right?
Oh, mate, those guys up in front of me, they're crazy fast. I wish I was a bit more alien-like, but one of these days I might make it there. But yeah, it's good to battle with some of the elite guys, and yeah, have a bit of fun.
Seen you doing that tonight for sure, and not for the first time this season. Did we see you let a bunch of them past at one point? Because we were wondering what you were doing, because of all of a sudden it looked like you were sort of handing yourself back down to the clutches of Gallagher. For the sake of letting a few of the guys past. Did we catch on right? Did we read that right? Or was there an incident?
Few mistakes, mate, so you just need to keep it clean, and then you got those guys piling pressure on in your mirror there, so I'm not really racing those. It's all, those guys are more, I guess, bragging rights. I was really hoping for a top 10, so close again, but I don't know, you see those guys in the mirror and that's not your fight, and made a few more mistakes, but still, yeah, come home with the win, which I was really stoked about.
Yeah, well, you got 3 races left to try and crack into that overall top 10. I reckon I'd put my money on it. You were pretty impressive here tonight, so hopefully with a bit of luck in one of those sprint rounds, and we'll see you in the top 10. Yeah,
we had the win last week and third at week before, so yeah, we're just going to keep following the progress I've been doing, keep hitting my markers, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
And I will say, if you get the chance, watch the broadcast back, because you got some pretty loud support in the comments.
Yeah, it's getting that clutch time of the season, mate. So I thought I'd bring a few supporters in. So there's normally a few Diego supporters out there. In the CP Motorsports 992 tonight, we had a really good showing. So especially when those guys are watching, I like to put a bit of a show on.
Yeah, well, it was lovely to have them giving us some company while we did the broadcast, and I definitely found myself getting a bit swept up in their cheering for you tonight. So yeah, good to see you bring home the win and get a good result, and good luck for the final round in a week's time.
Yeah, thank you. I think I might have tagged someone with the slightest amount of my nose on lap 1, but I don't know who that was. I am super sorry. There wasn't much room. I was on the brakes and there was a bit of contact, so whoever that was, I am truly sorry about that one, but a bit of a racing incident, bit of my fault, bit of his fault, I don't know. We'll have a look at the replay and see how we go.
Yeah, have a look at the replay, and I'm sure you can find them in the Discord if you feel the need to apologise.
Yeah, always do, mate. You got to.
Yeah, you got to. At the end of the day, that's one of the good things about racing the league, right? You're racing the same guys every week, so you can trust them, but also means if there is an incident, it's best to put your hand up, admit mistake, or at least admit partial responsibility, even if it's not fully your mistake, and then move on so you can keep racing with a good spirit.
Correct. Which is Matty Dench. He was on fire tonight. 33, I think I saw on one of his lap times there. Like, I'm about a second and a bit off that pace. That's amazing pace out in front. So one of these days I might hit those boys, catch up with them.
Yeah, he's been on fire for so long. I'm surprised he's not just a mound of ashes at this point. Let's be real. And with that, we'll bring this section of the broadcast to an end. So thanks very much for joining us in the broadcasting booth, Dane and Matt. Lovely to talk to you both. Hope you'll both join us at the end of the next round as well. And we'll see you in a week's time.
Legend, Liam. Thank you. And thanks to Race Controllers and everyone else who puts on the show for us. It's much appreciated.
Yes, thank you to me. Thank you from me as well. So that's it for the Blackout Electrical Solutions Porsche Cup here tonight. Blackout Electrical Solutions are based in Brisbane and serving southeast Queensland. They are electricians specialising in commercial/industrial renovations and fit-outs, power systems analysis, and switchboards replacements. So if that sounds like a service that you require, please contact our club sponsors at Blackout Electrical Solutions, who are also the sponsors for the Porsche Cup here tonight. We've got one more round of the Porsche Cup to bring you. We'll bring you that next week. And Blackout Electrical Solutions are one of a number of sponsors that we've got here at the GSRC. Our other sponsors include Plug-in Systems, West Orange Motors, Estate Finance Insurance and Wealth, Fisher Door Lawyers, Flash Graphics, and last but not least, Waste Options. So, next up for the GSRC, we have got Thursday night fun night, the Formula V's at Sandown, followed by the TCR at Belle Isle. Then on Friday, we got the F3s from Magny-Cours. None of those are broadcasts, so they are great fun to get involved in. And generally, the not broadcast races are a little bit more lighthearted, a little less serious than the broadcast races. So if you have some fun on the Thursday or Friday night, please do get involved. Then next week, we're back to broadcasted racing. First up on Monday, as always, we've got the GT4 and the GT3. The GT4 series is at Interlagos, where we saw the Porsche Cups put on a great race tonight. And they're followed by the GT3s at Daytona International Speedway. And we'll be following the pros in that broadcast. Then the up-and-comers will be broadcast. They're racing the GR86s, or the Skippies, round 1 is the Skippy, round 2 MX5, and then round 3, race 3 is the GR86. So it's 3 30-minute races going through all the entry-level cars, and the track is to be announced. So that will be pretty spectacular. I think we're going to see a few names hopping up and down the order, depending on what car they gel with and what they don't. Then on Wednesday, we've got the final round of the GR86 Challenge and the Blackout Electrical Solutions Porsche Cup for 2023 Season A. The GR86s are at that fantastic Aussie track, Oran Park. It's a small track, it's a tight track, it's going to be spectacular. And then the Blackout Electrical Solutions Porsche Cup are at one of our most glorious tracks, Phillip Island, home of the Australian MotoGP race, and one of the best circuits in the world in my book. And that will be a super sprint format with 3 sprint races, unlike the 1 endurance race we had here tonight. And these are the updated standings. I think we can pretty much declare Matty Dench the winner of the Blackout Electrical Solutions Porsche Cup. He's been phenomenal this season. He's got a lead of 170 points. I don't think it's even mathematically possible for that to be caught up in one race. So congratulations to Matty Dench. We then got Shane Wright in second. He's in a tight battle with Dylan Shepherd for second in the championship. Corey Lazarus is not far behind them. So it's between Shane Wright, Dylan Shepherd, and Corey Lazarus for the last 2 spots in the podium positions. We've then got Pedersen ahead of the chasing pack, with Leach, Barker, Smith, Freeman, Dawson, and Spinozzi all in very close company. And then Samuel Sproul, and Ben Croydon a little bit detached from them. So there's a big battle there from 5th all the way down to 13th place to finish in the top 10, or even the top half of the top 10 if you finish in 5th place. And then behind them, a few other drivers: Robert McGrath, Greg Paget, Christopher Ruddle, Brett Bradbury, and then Tristan Coach, and a bunch of the drivers that have not been at all of the... Oh no, it's changed again. Sorry, we switched to the Open Cup and didn't realise. So, Open Cup, we've got very tight at the top. Gallagher currently leads by 2 points over Snadden, who is 6 points ahead of Wilson. It is between the 3 of them for the championship. We will bring you live updates on who is leading that championship throughout the races next week. We've then got Callum Heinrich in 4th place. That's looking comfortable, 40 points ahead of Brendan Van Ryn, but probably too far away from the top 3 unless they have an absolute mare to do anything about it. Then got Brendan Van Ryn, he's just ahead of Adam Tice and Michael Plonus in the battle for 5th place. Behind them, then got Calvin Little, Michael Latter, Bradley Carr, Robert McGrath, Greg Paget, Christopher Ruddle, all fighting for a spot in the top 10. And then just detached to the back, you've got Bradbury, Coach, and a few drivers that have not raced at all the rounds. And here is an update in the Teams Championship. So in the Teams Championship, Blackout Motorsport New Zealand, which has Lazarus and Sproul in it, are in the lead of the championship, but they're not too far ahead of Matty Dench. Matty Dench looking to do what many would have thought impossible and win the Teams Championship by himself. He'll need a bit of help. He'll need Lazarus and Sproul to have a poor race, but I wouldn't put it beyond the realm of possibilities. Thank you. We've then got Twitchy Foot Racing in 3rd place. They're right behind Matty Dench, so they'll be looking to try and sneak 2nd place. You've then got Team Joan, who are looking really strong earlier on, but an instant for Jono Freeman has really hurt them. And so they are a little bit behind 3rd, 32 points behind, but they've got 2 drivers, so it's very much doable, and they are very much in the battle for a podium position. You've then got Bean Boss Racing behind them at 464. They're not out of it, but it's starting to look quite likely at that point that they'll be able to get a podium. And then behind them, you've got Riot Sim Racing, Slow In, Slow Out, Locked On Racing, Frog Leap Racing, and Bean Boss Racing 2 for the top 10. But it is quite close. They're both for the podium spots and the top 10. If you would like to support the GSRC and you would not like to be a sponsor, perhaps because you don't own a company or anything worth getting out there, the one way you can do that is by going to our merch store and getting yourself some fantastic merch. We've got shirts, we've got hoodies, we've got bottle openers, we've got stubby holders. It's getting into winter. Grab yourself a hoodie, keep warm, and support the GSRC. There is also the GT3 Endurance Championship, which is always great fun to race, and great fun to bring you from the commentary box. The next race in this is on the 30th of April, so we've got a good 4 weeks until the next race, and that is at the Red Bull Ring. Phenomenal track, easy track, it's going to be close racing, 6 hours of close racing, GT3's popular car. Get there, watch it, take part. There's plenty of spots to get involved. Get a team together, it's a lot of fun, and it's going to be a great race on the 30th of April. Apologies, I've got the hiccups. Yes, so please join us for that. And we'll just thank our sponsors one more time before we wrap up the broadcast. This series is brought to you by Blackout Electrical Solutions, and they are based in Brisbane and serving South East Queensland. They are electricians that specialise in commercial/industrial renovations and fit-outs, systems analysis, and switchboard replacements. Other sponsors include Login Systems, West Orange Motors, Astute Finance Insurance and Wealth, Fisher Door Lawyers, Flash Graphics, and last but not least, Waste Options. I'm Liam Banks. Producing tonight has been Adam Lavis. From us and from everybody at the GSRC, good night.